Welcome. We're doing a little bit of different stuff today, but there's a lot to talk about, so it's going to be a little bit somber. Dr. J is already with us. How are you?
Too bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, except for the fact that the whole world seems to be going down the drain. But other than that, I'm awesome. Just a little bit scared of some of the stuff that is happening right now in general. Um, so I've had the idea of doing a little bit of the news uh, lately, but I think I wasn't going to do it. I had the idea, but I was like, no, it's a lot of responsibilities and that kind of stuff. But I think that today is a lot of stuff happened, and it's important that we discuss it and we put our stances there. And I feel uh, particularly that my opinion, given that I am the left in this channel, right? That I should put my opinion out there in this because obviously it will be a very polarizing thing. Aragon asks, what do you think about Charlie Kirk? That's one of the things we're going to talk about today. Um, so I think we should start with that. Yes. So in the description, there are links. So if you want to actually read more reputable sources, of course, I'm just I've read a bunch of different things and I'm giving my opinion. So the situation is that in a college debate, Charlie Kirk was doing debates just like there's been many, like Uncensor America does, and there's a bunch of people who go to debate in universities and schools. And he was shot and died very soon after the event happened, which is it's a shame that something like that would happen, especially in the U.S., given that freedom and freedom of speech, all of these things that we sometimes take for granted, and with the attacks on Trump and with some of the polarization that is happening in society, the recent shooting in I think it was Minnesota of a church. I want to say I think it was a church, right? Do you remember that? It happened a couple of days ago. I think
We get a lot of shootings. They don't even hardly break the news around here anymore. You know what I mean? Even school shootings don't necessarily.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily cover all of them.
Mm-hmm. No, but I think it was a trans person that showed up as
It was. It wasn't a church. It was like a Christian school.
A Christian school. Okay, got it. Bruce Wayne, yeah, corrected me. Thank you so much. So, yes, do I think that on the battlefield of ideas, can we be aggressive with our rhetoric and strong and firm? Sure. But I am even guilty of, putting a little bit of extra spice with an insult here and there. But I don't think that is detrimental. It's just a little bit back and forth. I think of myself more of an entertainer than an actual serious person. So there's always that aspect. But that being said, even though I don't agree with a lot of what this person does or did or said, I still don't think that anyone deserves to die their for their political views. I think that it's better That's why we have democracy, and that's what makes the world a better place. That there's people with different opinions. Um, and also we have to remember the human. He was a husband, he was a father, and now there's I think a father of two, and now there's three people who are missing someone from their family. And from what I could see, it looks like he was a beloved husband, beloved father, and uh, that's sad for those children, for that wife. And I even though I am a leftist, an actual, leftist, um, I don't advocate for that kind of violence. I've said in the past, for example, that one of the things that I don't share with the Communist Manifesto, for example, is the expropriation of property and funds from the bourgeoisie. I think that there's better ways to go about that. But yeah, it's sad. The consequences are going to trickle through for a long time. And given the current landscape of stuff that is happening with the presidency right now in the US, it's a tough call to say what is going to happen next. And that makes me a little bit uneasy, right? Dr. J, any thoughts? You told me that you haven't been keeping up too much with the news cycle today.
Yeah, I mean, I do know Charlie Kirk got shot and the neck and died or whatever. I mean, I guess I did know that part. There's a lot of other things that we may get to tonight that I may not be as familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an interesting situation. Obviously, I don't want anyone to get shot. I don't want anyone to die. We don't want any of that.
No.
But I'm on my social media feed, which is mostly conservative people. There's this super incredible outpouring of concern and his family and so on and so forth, which is all fine. Um, Actually, significantly more than the girls that died at the camp in the natural disaster, right? Like
Uh-huh.
people cared, I guess. It's not like nobody cared. No one wanted those girls to die, but Charlie Kirk is getting an insane amount of love here, and it's just amazing how who we care about that died, right? Who do we care about that dies? And clearly, the people in my world care a ton that Charlie Kirk died. And why do you think they care that he died a lot more than most anyone else that dies every day?
Yes. It does tend to happen that people generally remember people who died a little bit more fondly
No, I mean
than.
just so that people died at the church thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know who they are. The girls died in the flood. I mean, how much people cared. I bet you we will get an incredible amount of political action, meaning like the government will talk about doing a whole bunch of political stuff so we can stop this in the future. What did we do as the political action for the girls that drowned in the floods?
No.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. What do we do for the school shootings where kids get shot? Nothing. We do nothing for those basically here in the US, but I think we are going to go really hard on this Charlie Kirk thing. So obviously I don't want anyone to die. I don't want him or anyone else to die. But the amount of emotional attachment to him, I think it's interesting, and it shows,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, when they're on your team, you really care, and when they're not, you don't care as
Yeah.
much.
That is true. That is so true. The in group versus the out group dynamic is always there. Um, Bruce Wayne says, now that a trans person shot someone, the DOJ planning to ban trans people from getting guns. Can they do that?
They would get challenged in the courts if they did that.
They,
So,
yeah, I
but
don't.
so I'm sure they want to, but I don't know if it'll happen.
I think that would open the door for, you know,
Why
more
not?
like
Why
if you
not
open the door
ban
for
women? Ban women from having it.
ban
Ban,
women
yeah,
or
whoever.
other people or just bald dudes with glasses.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
there are certainly conservatives. I've seen them argue against, like, if you, watch Destiny debate, I've seen them debate against people who argue that that should happen. And, if Trump had his way, I mean, maybe he would do that. But like I said, it would get, the courts would probably not allow it. I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and maybe the Supreme Court, if it went all the way up there, which it probably wouldn't, would, let him do whatever he wants. I don't know, but
Hmm.
it theoretically should be like not super possible.
Yeah, no, I think because it would open the door, just like how when people try to ban books in schools,
Hmm.
citing that it says this, and that, or that it has bad imagery or whatever. Uh, then other people, the people on the opposing side, go and get the Bible banned with the exact same strategy, and I
Hmm.
think that could happen. That could happen here. So I don't think they will end up. And Bruce Wayne said they can't do it. They want to, though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dan says authoritarian reaction inbound in response. And yeah, there's not much. There's not much else. Apparently, there was an older man that was arrested on site, but from what I see, apparently it was a snipe. From what I saw, apparently it was a sniper. Uh, so there's not definitive details yet, and
And this is what's interesting. If they find out the guy was a Republican that loves Trump, that didn't think Charlie Kirk loved Trump enough, you know what'll happen? All the
no.
Republicans will quit caring. They'll stop talking about it. They'll move on.
Mm-hmm.
If they find
Yeah.
out it's a Democrat that, thought Charlie Kirk was terrible and it was horrible that he opposed abortion, whatever, you'll be hearing on this endlessly on the news cycle. It's just a sort of interesting social experiment, as far as
Yeah.
just kind of noticing how this is all going to go down.
Yes. And on the other side of this coin, this literally just happened. And flat earthers are already saying that it's fake. They're analyzing the videos and
Oh,
watching it
good.
from different angles. And they say that he had a blood pack and this and that. No, no, this has been one of the wildest things I've ever experienced. Like even wilder than Trump, because I remember Trump, the conspiracies took a couple of days to start. This started in mere hours. So yeah, it's a tough situation. The next thing that I wanted to talk about today, where are my freaking notes? Damn. Uh, 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 shoot. I want to see my notes, but I messed up. Give me one moment. Let's do that for now. Okay.
Yeah, well,
So,
I'm glad we have the flat earthers on the case, though. They have
oh yeah, they will.
the analytical ability on video understanding is just so strong. So
Yeah,
I'm glad we have our best and brightest getting this figured out.
indeed. We can definitely get to the bottom of this. This happened about 10 days ago, but the videos were declassified today. The US military sank a Venezuelan flag boat going on the Caribbean with 11 people on board because it was suspected of being either Tren de Aragua trafficking people or Tren de Aragua trafficking drugs. The problem is that there is no evidence, actually. And the constitutional problem of the US Army literally executing 11 people in international waters for supposed terrorism, but with no trial, with no due process whatsoever. And as far as I know, terrorism, I mean, drug trafficking itself is not terrorism, and human trafficking itself is also not terrorism. But let's say, just for the sake of argument, let's say that it was. uh, I still think that they should get due process. Because if we start breaking down some of these institutions, like the institution of the legal system of the US and the world, that is basically a recipe for disaster, and it has happened all over the place with dictatorships and the like. Sorry. Hello, Emma. The Compian Emporium is here, and oh yeah, we got Isa. Hello.
Hey brother, how you doing? Brothers, how you doing?
We're doing well. Talking a little bit about some news. The Copian Emporium, 11 people on a drug boat. Why big crew? The problem is that they blew them up. So there's nothing else we can know now.
Yeah, so
So
if they
we
were
don't know.
if they were trafficking people, they just killed the
That
people being
they kill
trafficked.
victims, yes, which
Yeah.
it's a massive problem.
Hmm.
So that is pretty scary. And this kind of ties with the next, which are the threats. Well, actually, no. Something that we've been talking in the past, the threats that the US has been making on Venezuela. And we really talked about that just in case they are accused. Trump's presidency is accusing Maduro of being part of the cartel. Um, the cartel of I think it's Tren de Aragua or another cartel, right? So they have mobilized troops to the coast of the Caribbean near Venezuela, and now we have the repercussions. Argentina stands with Trump because Milei, the Argentinian president, likes Trump very much. In fact, Milei's campaign was an imitation of Trump. Milei went around in rallies with a chainsaw and saying, "We're going to cut the scourge of the left with a chainsaw." And went brum brum brum, and it was hella weird. When Milei actually met Trump and Musk, he gifted them a chainsaw also. And Brazil also made a statement within a host of trouble that is happening in Brazil right now. Number one is the trial of former President Jair Bolsonaro, who tried to do a military coup on the presidency of Lula. And the Brazilian constitution codifies the attempt of a coup in the law. So they're going to throw the book at Bolsonaro. And now Trump threatened Brazil in their own sovereign land, dealing with their own sovereign people and someone who committed a crime according to their laws. President Trump is threatening Brazil because of what they're doing with Bolsonaro, which is basically following the law. But because Trump and Bolsonaro are friends, he was called the Brazilian Trump because they're friends. Trump has threatened Brazil.
What did he
And
say exactly?
let me grab the link just a sec. Karen Levitt floats threats of military might over Bolsonaro coup trial. The press secretary suggested the administration, and I'm reading this from MSNBC, link is in the description. The press secretary suggested the administration could use its military might in response to a conviction of Brazil's former MAGA-friendly leader. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro, once known as the Trump of the Tropics, appears on the verge of a conviction for his role in a failed coup attempt launched after he lost his last election. And on Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt appeared to threaten Brazil with military might if Bolsonaro should face repercussions. So now we have this interaction of military troops from the US in the Caribbean, Argentina saying that it will back up the US, Colombia saying that they will not allow the US to go through Colombia to reach Venezuela, and now Brazil kind of saying the same thing, that they will not bow down to the US and that they will also stand with Venezuela. China has also backed up Venezuela, and the Chinese, a private company investment from the Chinese, shipped a floating oil pumping station for a lake because I'll let you in on a little secret. Venezuela is a country with the biggest oil reserves in the world, more than the US and more than Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. It's the biggest oil reserve in the world. The problem is that after many, many years of corruption, their production has kind of screeched to a halt. So that's why China sent this plant, so they can start pumping oil again. And Venezuela not only has oil, they have other precious metals, they have gold, and also natural resources of various kinds, which
The
are
reason
very...
Venezuela quit selling oil so much was not just because of their incompetence. We embargoed them. We like or maybe not embargo, but we absolutely sanctioned this not out of them. The U.S. did.
Yes.
We did everything we could.
China never stopped buying their oil. Uruguay never stopped buying their oil. So yeah, the embargoes were there, but they were still doing business. Their biggest problem actually is that because of rampant corruption, the proceedings from that disappeared. So there was no reinvestment in the system. So they have, don't quote me on the numbers, but let's say that they have the capacity to pump 60,000 barrels per day, right? But with investment, they could do up to double or triple that amount. So yeah, that's kind of the problem with Venezuela right now. So this is a melting pot of chained things that, although some are completely like not connected to each other, there is turmoil. Like I feel the tension down here, which has never happened in my lifetime. And then, yeah, BRICS is also another thing because, of course, now China stands with Brazil, India stands with Brazil. There was a meeting in China with Kim Jong-un, Putin, and Xi Jinping. You know, those three together, saying that they're backing up Venezuela, and they also had talks about Israel, which brings us to the next segue, which is Israel attacked Doha in Qatar. Qatar, a strategic ally of the US, it was done without any notification to the US. And Qatar was the one that is mediating the negotiations for a ceasefire on behalf of Hamas. And this bombing has already caused Qatar authorities to say to start. If you check the link from Al Jazeera, the title reads, Gulf region at risk, Qatar seeks collective response to Israeli attack. Which
who did they kill?
They were trying to kill Hamas leadership, which were having a meeting in the center of Doha.
And but they didn't succeed, you're saying?
There's apparently not. Apparently, they didn't succeed. Apparently, Hamas leadership is still kicking around. But there were like 74 casualties and civilians because, of course, they attacked the center of a very populated city. So
Hmm.
it's a complicated thing because
Yeah.
we have conflict in the Middle East. We still have the conflict with Ukraine and Russia. We were mentioning that Poland had to shoot down some Russian drones over their airspace. So look. I don't want to be alarmist, but I'm like actually scared of a third world war right now. It's and it's very close to me, which usually doesn't happen, right? Because we have the front in Europe and the Middle East, and then we also have the front here. And right now, I'm getting a little bit of imperialistic vibes again from the US with the whole, we want Denmark, we want Canada to be the 51st state, now trying to get their foot on Venezuela. And we have to remember that the US has a very dark history in all of Latin America, sponsoring military coups left and right.
I think
So,
if you want to
yes.
describe America currently, I would describe us as incompetent blowhards. We say lots of crazy stuff, but we're not competent. We tariffed islands with penguins on them. We don't have a competent people running our government, but we have very, boisterous people are doing. So
Mhm.
I don't think we are competent enough to like take over anything. We yell a lot. We write executive orders. I think that's all we know how to do currently. I'm not sure what else we're
Right,
capable of.
but I mean, the military might of the U.S. is undeniable, and in South America, our armies are just not ready to.
Yeah, if we go to war, yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of institutional ability to just absolutely be a menace to the world. But I'm saying we're blowhards and incompetent. We're not like we don't want to go to war. You think our leadership doesn't really want to go to war? We just want to threaten everybody, say we're going to do awesome stuff, and then we're going to do nothing, and hope
Mhm.
people bow to us. Um, I don't know. I don't think we are having a ton of interest. Now, the fact that we are not a positive in the world order, that we're not helping, that we're not, um, you know, doing anything good is obviously super bad. But I guess I'm less concerned that we are going to be the ones to invade anybody or whatever. We're just going to be completely impotent and useless when Russia invades or some other things happen. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yes.
And obviously, I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I'm thinking about it currently.
Isa, any thoughts?
I'll be right back. I gotta hit the restroom.
You got it.
On which particular point about
Whatever you want.
Venezuela?
But whatever you want. Yeah.
Oh, I was kind of more interested about Charlie Kirk. That was the kind of the
Yeah, we
thing.
talked about in the beginning, but yeah, whatever
I
you
saw
want.
I saw
Whatever
that
you want is whatever you want.
that was mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually met Charlie Kirk. Funny enough, I went to one of his conferences. So,
Mm-hmm.
Turning Point. Um, so you know my feeling about the people who are kind of viewed as these kind of villains, and I have kind of more positive insights with them. I mean,
Yeah.
that it's pretty consistent. I have a pretty consistent track record when it comes to that. Like Andrew Wilson and Charlie Kirk and Whitson. Like I don't have these negative feelings about these people, but I understand why people do. You know, I just don't have that
My
in my
my position, I don't know if you heard, but my position is that even though I heavily disagree with these people, you could say some of them I actually despise them and I don't like
Mm.
them very much or whatever. I still don't think that they deserve to die.
I mean, he was a public debater. He was he was very much like that whatever podcast. I'm
Yeah,
like, he had opinions, he had his perspective. You know,
yeah.
he when it was on South Park, but I'm like, what did he do to deserve that? Having opinions that are, you know, maybe would be viewed as problematic. And like, it reminded me of Charlie Crowder too. Is that his name? Is it
See,
Charlie? Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So it's the same kind of thing where it's like you have these kind of conservative views, and a lot of people are really not into these kind of conservative perspectives, and um, it creates tension, you know, because a lot of younger people, the next generation after us, you know, they're just a lot more progressive, you know, and you know these things, it's hard, a lot of this stuff is hard to hear, these kinds of things, you know, where people are more accepting of lgbtqia plus and more accepting of a lot of different things that the past generations weren't. Even our generation, the millennial generation, was limited in certain
Hmm.
capacities, as you know. um I don't know. I think he had different opinions that, you know, some people liked his opinions, some people really didn't like them, but I'm 100% with you. Why would you take someone's life because they have a different opinion than you? We believe in debating. That's what our position is.
Yeah.
So if you want to destroy in debates, I'm sure he would have been fine with that. If he could be destroyed in a debate, I'd be like, it would be fun. It would be good. It's healthy. But you don't want to, like, even what happened to President Trump was disgusting. It was gross. Like, this is not the way to deal with these situations. And it make people who do these things, whatever they say, it kind of destroys the message that they're conveying, I think. You know, if you're saying
Hmm.
I'm a progressive that cares about people's lives, and then you take someone's life, pretty much all your ethics and morals, they go out the window. What's your value system, you know? If you go to the marketplace of ideas and you debate them, you don't go and take people's lives because you don't agree with them. And you know, he was a shock rocker. He reminds me of like, at least in his public display, with like, I always bring this up, Howard Stern. You know, you have the, you know, or Rush Limbaugh. You know, Rush Limbaugh, he was this conservative
Hmm.
shock jocker on the radio, and I'm like, you may not agree with him. Or Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck was another one like that, you know. You could agree or disagree, but the thing is, I think in the marketplace of ideas, you debate and you say, okay, I don't agree with your points, and here are the reasons why. And I think that's what we focus on. Sherba Mate Talks is we focus on conversations and debates. And if you don't like something, then figure out a better argument to defeat that argument, but don't take someone's life. It destroys everything. If you really believe in an ethical position, it kind of destroys everything that you're
Everything. Yeah.
standing on. So yeah. And I think it's totally right, fair, Max, that you can despise people and be like, I don't like you, but you're not going to take their life. You're like, I don't want to
No,
eat
not at
with you.
all.
I don't want to hang out with you. I might yell at you. I might do the
I might
Ken.
yell at you. I might get heated. I might insult you just a little bit because you're a fucking moron. But none of that merits
Go to
any kind of
violence.
physical violence. Not even like a punch.
No, not at all. Not
Not
at
at
all.
all.
And I think if Cenk Uygur did a response on it, I think it was really good. Cenk Uygur did a response, and I think he did it well. And he was like, "Look, we disagreed on things, but this was disgusting," and I agree with him. It was disgusting,
Hmm.
and it was amoral, and it was horrible, um, and if you really don't like conservative stuff, you made 1,000 more. That's what I have to say. You made a
Hmm.
1,000 more of these people that you don't like.
I'll get your opinion on something else. Let me address this. BTF Wayne says, "Fascists, fascists deserve to live." It's simp shit. Everyone deserves to live. That's kind of the problem. Do they have shitty ideas? Sure. Do we need to fight it in the legal grounds? Do we need to fight their policies? Do we need to fight their rhetoric? Do we need to combat some of the silly notions that these people have? Sure. But none of that is done by with violence. And then says, what the fuck? You're arguing to support people that want to kill or imprison you for existing. I didn't say support, though. I said no violence, which is mostly our stance with everything. Violence never solves anything. Killing someone doesn't fix anything. So I know I understand that you're angry, but um, me particularly as a leftist, I get accused of many things, by people who really don't understand my position. But oh my God, you all are anti self defense. Executing someone on a public event with a sniper rifle is not self defense, dude. What are you talking about?
It's assassination.
It's an
They
assassination.
That's it. It was vile and evil. It's so weird. It's like, what is your ethical position then? You're like I hate these people because they're fascist, and then you become a fascist yourself. Like, what's
Yeah,
the difference between you and them? Like, I
you're
think of Star Wars and like the dark side of the Force, and like, and I love that like they do. It's like they hyper simplify it, but it's like the people who are supposed to be the Jedi's, the good guys, they get tempted by this. But when a person goes and crosses over, they lose all their dignity and all their values. And that's what I feel about this. It's like people saying, I'm a liberal, I'm a progressive, but I'm like, yeah, really, are you? You're basically implementing the same things you're accusing these people of implementing. And I'm like, so what's the difference between you and them?
again, you're not making your case. This is not a reason to attack someone. Recount or make elections safer. Propose legislation. Uh, the problem is that you're pretty much bordering on pre-crime. How can you say that an attack on someone who was sitting at a debate event unarmed is self-defense? That is just backwards logic. That is literally backwards logic. And that's not the world that I want. That's not the world that I want. Uh, and the consequences could be dire for everyone else, because the U.S. has great influence in the world, and I think sometimes the government of the U.S. kind of forgets the influence that the U.S. has in the world, and I don't like it. Emma says, "Thanks, Isa. 100% agree. No difference." Yeah, sometimes you have to take the high road, and if someone's rhetoric is, "I don't want you to vote," you have to maintain. I mean, you have to go down the legal route. I mean, that's if we break down the institutions, then what do we have? We have nothing. That is cute. You equated an assassination to self-defense, and we are lost in the sauce. Got it. Awesome. Dr. J, any other thoughts on that? On anything we talked about, really?
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't forget the people that tried to assassinate Trump weren't even like necessarily progressives. We might forget that they were not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. So we don't want to make that mistake. I still am amazed. I mean, I don't know how to. This is going to be a frustration that I know I'm going to have. Obviously, didn't want Charlie Kirk to die. No one should die. We don't want to kill anybody. No violence. I completely agree. But um, man, this is going to be such a win for Trump world. They are going to. I mean, not that they wanted Charlie Kirk to die, but they're going to be able to run around and get every Democrat to like say how talk wonderfully about Charlie Kirk forever. But we have a school shooting and kids die for no reason and nothing. You know what I mean?
Nothing. Yeah.
Like we're going to get tons of groveling from the Democrats saying how yes, we shouldn't shoot anybody, which is all true. But then the next school shooting is going to happen and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why do we care about Charlie Kirk's life so much more than others? I mean, I think when I say we, I mean I think the political the right cares about Charlie Kirk's life more than they care about the kids' lives. I totally think they do, and it's too bad.
Yeah. Eric Burns says no arrest has been made for the Charlie Kirk shooting. As far as I know, dude that was initially arrested was released. Yeah, an older gentleman, like gray hair. Yeah, I heard about that. But it will continue to develop in the next coming days. But the adding fuel to the fire, like let's say hypothetically this was someone from the left or a Republican or whatever, right? Uh, these kind of things in today's world, they don't help your cause, and especially with the government in power of Trump kind of having a little bit carte blanche to do whatever the hell he wants, as the Supreme Court ratified his immunity when acting as a president of the US. It's a big problem. It's a huge problem. And then we have also the conspiracies that have already popped up. Flat earthers are already losing their shit over they say it's fake and yada yada. I am actually quite nervous. I haven't been nervous like this in a long time.
The Poland thing is interesting. So
yeah.
I mean, Charlie Kirk is sort of just one guy, and I know it's maybe a bigger deal because he was a political figure, and we're gonna politically talk about it a ton. But in the long scheme of things, this international stuff could end up being worse. You know what I mean? I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. How did you gain our independence? We allied ourselves with Brazil and Argentina and kicked out the Spanish. And then we also kicked out the Portuguese and the Argentinians. So by violence and betrayal. But you can't compare the time of the colonies with right now.
You know, I wanted to say something. I was thinking about. Oh, sorry.
It's not remotely the same thing. Not even close. Go ahead.
I was thinking about what. Do you know what Daniel Hakikachu said? He was like, he brought up Palestine again.
Oh my!
And I mean, it's like, my opinion is I actually agree completely with Dr. J. We need to be consistent. You want to care about Palestinians? I'm with you 1,000%. We need to care about Palestinians, but you should care about Israelis who've suffered. You should care about those kids in the school shootings who are passing away. You should care about all of these lives that are being lost. But there seems to be this inconsistency where it's like, I care about my people, but I don't care about your other people. And I'm just like, are you really ethical and moral? If you're like, I care about Palestinian Muslims, like, do you care about Palestinian Christians? I guess if they fit your agenda, you do, but do you care about Jewish people? Probably not. I'm like, this is a problem. It's a big problem. And it's the same thing here. It's like, well, I care about my conservatives who get killed. I really care about them. But like when it's like a progressive liberal person, doesn't matter. Like, remember she's not even a progressive. She's like, I would say she's like Republican light. What's her name? The speaker, Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah,
Nancy Pelosi,
Republican light. Oh my goodness, I'm not sure. I would totally disagree with that.
What do you think? She's like a Republican?
No, I think she's a Democrat.
But I mean, like I think if she's like an '80s like Republican, like because I think the Democrats have shifted really to the right. I would say that's why I call it Republican light because I'm like it's not really different. Like Biden, all these folks are they're pretty conservative.
I think that Biden was the most progressive president we've ever had in our history.
More than FDR, like with the New Deal?
Socially progressive, way more, yeah. Maybe FDR economically was more progressive, but socially, Biden was definitely more progressive.
Because I mean, Kamala kind of got him on the she got him on that segregation butts. My dude was like the crime bill, but he has a long history of like, I guess you could say some of the policies now could be viewed as progressive, I guess. But I'm like,
he was
he's
more progressive than Clinton, right? Like, surely
Clinton was regressive. I mean, Clinton was really awful. Like, people make him into this great hero. He was really bad. Like the crime bill, 3 strikes and you're out, which was actually Biden's construction too, but that's another story.
But like, everybody, it's very difficult in hindsight. Everybody was for it, right? Like, I mean, I wasn't alive, but my understanding or maybe I was alive, but my understanding of that
You were
situation was,
young, yeah.
yeah, was that was a popular thing that lots of people wanted to do, even Democrats at the time. Now, in hindsight, being 2020 was a stupid idea, but I don't recall it being that negatively viewed at the time, right?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I don't really. It's hard to say. Like, I think a lot of these people are pretty much two sides of the coin. A lot of these, like, they go and drink at the same cocktail parties, and a lot of
I
them, yeah,
I don't. I just totally disagree. So the Inflation Reduction Act is, to me, you have to explain that to me on why that doesn't make Democrats way different than Republicans. Way different. So did you follow
I,
the Inflation Reduction Act very much?
I did not. I can go look into it more. I don't. I'm not. I
It
haven't.
was basically a climate bill. Tons of things related to climate change, right? And which is, in my opinion, so many more people are going to die from climate change.
I
It
agree.
just dwarfs everything else. Like, it dwarfs everything else. So therefore, the Democrats have passed a super important bill in order to give subsidies to wind and solar to be able to, bring manufacturing to the U.S. Certain amount of money if they build wind and solar. It was just this huge thing for batteries and domestic battery production. So it was this huge thing about climate change. They call it the Inflation Reduction Act. It was basically like climate change bill. And what has the Republicans do now that they've gotten in power? They've completely tore it down. In my opinion, the backwardsness of the Republicans on climate change will get more people killed than the entire populations of Israel and Palestine combined. I think there's a huge difference between Republicans and Democrats,
But
especially on climate.
but you know what's weird though? Like Nixon is actually the one who created the EPA. So like it just depends. Like it's an interesting dynamic. You know.
I mean, if
So
you go far enough back, but the current versions of the parties
mm,
are obviously, it's, in my opinion, it's just like incredibly clear that the Republicans are owned by big oil. I mean, I used to be a big climate change denier, and I mean, could be wrong, but
no,
that's
I'm big
my
into
understanding.
sustainability. I think sustainability is a very important element. It's an interesting thing. Um and
So
yeah,
yeah, so in my opinion, the faults, I get frustrated when people, I think it's, and, I could be wrong here, but I think I find it personally frustrating when people, what I would consider, oversimplify by saying the Democrats and the Republicans are the same, because I do see a huge difference between the two, and I think the Inflation Reduction Act is a good example. Um,
I think that's a valid argument. And I would say I think there's a lot more in common than people want to admit. I think a lot of these people, like, I feel Democrats say a lot of things, but I don't think when push comes to shove they want to do a lot of things. They like keeping things status quo, and they're not really, because they benefit from it. A lot of these Democrats are career politicians that keep running, and they make a lot of money from a lot of these situations. Look at Gavin Newsom in California. Is this dude actually going to solve the unhoused crisis? No, he's not. He's not going to deal with the real issues. And I mean, at best, he's like, from his report card, he's like maybe a B grade politician. But I'm like, a lot of these folks, they don't care. They talk a big game. They don't walk a big game, because in reality, they're saying these things because it makes it sound good to their constituents. But when push comes to shove, they're not actually going to do them.
I
And
mean,
I think about the Iraq War. I'm like, are we supposed to be going and invading other countries? It was a Democrat Republican coalition that did this. Only when I think of progressives, I think of someone like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Mamdani. These are the people who are like, look, we're really seriously are engaging things like rent freezes and making sure that people can get like affordable food. Like, this is the kind of thing. A lot of these other people, like, look at welfare. It stinks. Look at the economic stuff. It stinks. They're not going to change these policies because it doesn't benefit them. There's a huge, like, I live in Philadelphia. We have a huge unhoused crisis. Are our politicians doing anything about it? No, we have a place called Kensington where people have needles in their arms. I'm into
Mhm.
social work, so I'm like, these people aren't doing anything because it doesn't benefit them. It doesn't help them. So in a lot of, like, I hear your point, and I think at some points, yeah, they do some stuff, but a lot of it's a lot of superficial glaze.
I think when you look into the details, it's just lazy to say that they're the same. I think it's lazy that
Hmm.
there's major differences between.
I'm not saying
I'm
they're
not saying you
exactly the
can't
same, but
complain about some of Newsom's stuff. I'm sure you can have lots of legit complaints, and I don't disagree with that. But I think it's lazy to pretend they're the same. And I think there are some progressives that try to do that, and I don't think it's true.
I've heard some people say that there's not two parties in the US, that it's one party with two factions.
I think
How do
that's
you guys view that?
completely wrong. Inflation Reduction Act, you have to explain that to me if that's true.
I don't know what the
I
Inflation
cannot
Reduction
believe
Act
you guys
is.
don't know what that is. That was like this landmark, just absolutely super important legislation that got passed during the Biden years. It was a huge climate bill, basically, tons of stuff to help with climate change.
Okay.
And so now that Trump's in office, obviously he's doing everything he can to stop it. So he's like pulling permits for wind farms that have already been permitted, and they're like mostly built, and he's trying to like take the permits away so they can't finish them. He basically is gutting the EPA so that way the fines for anything that the EPA does that they shouldn't do. He basically made it so the fines are like zero, right? So like technically it's still illegal, but there's no fine anymore. He's done so much that's like so bad in the area of climate change, which Biden passed this incredibly huge thing that was going to help with that ton. And like I told Issa, I think more people will die from the effects of climate change than like the populations of Palestine and Israel combined. So I just see it as this incredibly huge issue. And so to me, saying those two parties are the same when one passed this incredibly amazing legislation to help with climate change, and one clearly doesn't do anything, is lazy. It's super lazy. It's a nice simple narrative. You can find situations where they act the same, and you probably don't like it on either. They both take money. They both um, do things that are bad, right? Like and they're probably similar in a lot of ways that they do things. I don't want to pretend that there aren't these fairly large similarities, but I definitely think claiming that they're exactly the same is just completely and totally wrong.
well, my opinion is I kind of agree with what Max was saying. It's two factions. I think Democrats are '80s Republicans. That's what I feel now. I think and I'm not saying that they're the same as the Republicans now, but I do think they're a variant of Republican. And like when I hear Nancy Pelosi's liberal, I mean, the people have no idea what liberal and progressive are. If you're going to say Nancy Pelosi is a progressive, the Democrats now are not progressive.
But
That's why they
yeah,
stunted Bernie Sanders. I'm
I,
sorry. They completely snubbed him and destroyed his situation because they're like, no, we have to keep our corporate dude inside. Like that's literally what they did. And I'm like, okay.
they thought he could. They absolutely screwed him because they thought he couldn't win. And they were probably right. Um, but
Oh, I think Bernie Sanders was a much better candidate than Joe Biden was, but I was like, whatever. He was on the lower
Bernie
polls.
Sanders got screwed not during Joe Biden's time. That was when Hillary was running, not
Yeah,
Joe
well,
Biden.
Hillary Clinton. No, but they screwed him over again too because what they did is they had a bunch of politicians running, and then they all basically left and said, "Oh, we're going to support Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders," because Bernie Sanders was leading. He was leading in the polls, and they were like, "Okay, we're basically going to do treachery and and betrayal to the
Sure,
Democrats." And I was
I,
like, "Let's
I
just call it for what it is." That's
I'm
what they did.
I'm fine with you complaining that the Democrats haven't supported Bernie enough, but I still think you're absolutely out to lunch if you think that that means Democrats and Republicans are the same.
But
There's
I didn't say that
absolutely
they're the
no
same. I said that
similar, and they're
Democrats are
not like
80s
80s.
Republicans.
Do you
They're like
remember
Ronald Reagan.
No, they're not. Do you remember what Ronald Reagan did to the gay community?
Yeah, all the stuff that these people do for the gay community is completely superficial. What Ronald Reagan did was
No,
he just turned a blind eye because his friend was Rock Hudson, and he was
and
like, he turned a complete blind eye, and he
yeah,
just acted
yeah,
like
he
nothing
was
was
like
going on.
he was so horrible. I'm not saying that Biden is like amazingly good with it or whatever, but or Nancy Pelosi, but Nancy Pelosi on do you think Reagan would have been okay with gay marriage?
Probably now.
Absolutely not.
Probably now
Absolutely
it would be
not. Are
different.
you kidding? What do you think Reagan's view on trans rights were? compared to Nancy Pelosi's. I mean, not even remotely close.
It depends.
So
A lot of these people are forced into these positions. Neither Biden wasn't either. None of these people were, but they're forced into these positions because that they have to go with the flow of the wind.
of course they were, but just
So
remember,
was
Mhm.
so was Obama.
But Democrats were forced into being pro-gay marriage, and so the Democrats all vote for it, and the Republicans all vote against it. So when you say they're the same, it's not true. It's just not true.
Well, I didn't say that they're the same. I said that I said they're an '80s variant. I said or '80s and '90s.
And no,
Like
they're not
like
because
they're
the
very much
80s
like
and
George Bush. I would say
the-
George Bush, the first, is very similar to.
George Bush was
Yeah.
pro gay marriage. George Bush would have passed the Inflation Reduction Act. Absolutely, he would not have.
I would say
He
that.
was an oil guy. George
So,
Bush was an oil guy. He was a climate change denier. Give me a break. It's not the
so,
same.
so the thing is, fine. They're superficial platforms.
Superficial?
Oh, it's completely superficial. These people drink at the same cocktail parties. These people. Do you think Hillary
Is-
Clinton cares about gay rights?
Is gay
I'll tell-
marriage legal now?
Yes.
What political party do we have to thank for that?
I would say it's grassroots organizations that put pressures on these policies.
On who? And who listened to that grassroots? The Democrats. So if you
Well,
say the Democrats
because
have
they
done
had
nothing,
donors, whatever
whatever reason,
but it's not the politicians
how
themselves.
can, so you're just saying personally, these people in their personal views are all bad, even though what they do is what you want? So even though Nancy Pelosi does what you want on gay marriage, she gets no credit because you suddenly can look into her mind and know in reality she really doesn't care about the issue. You're like, know subconsciously she really hates him, but she's just doing it because you have to. Therefore, her and George Bush are the same. Baloney. No way. Her and George Bush are not the same on gay marriage.
I do think that a lot of these folks, like because they're a part of a certain political party that has certain kinds of pressures, they have to yield to those pressures. President Obama does not believe in gay marriage. He clearly stated that he did it. He was pushed into this narrative because the party was saying that.
So
they
you're saying
followed the party.
The fact that let's pretend you're right. Obama didn't care about gay marriage, but he was for it.
He was
anyway.
against it. Not
So
only
who
did
were
he
the-
care about it, he clearly
he
was
against
it.
and then he became for it, and he was pushed to do
He's
it by
not
the
for it.
Democrats.
He's
So-
not for it, but he's go ahead.
So he got pushed into it by the Democrats. So who are the good guys in this story? The Democrats. You can say Obama's a bad guy. You're welcome to say he's a secret gay hater and you don't like him. But the good guys of the story are the Democrats because they pushed him into saying that he was for it.
So I'm with you because as a social worker myself, I am interested in policies that help people. So yes, the party to a degree has been advocating for certain things. I will agree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that.
So they're not 80s Republicans.
I would not say I do believe that is who these politicians are. That's what I'm saying they are. But the party itself, I think it does what the donors pay for and the grassroots and the NGOs. So yes, I would say that these politicians will yield to these situations. But if it suits whatever benefits them, and that's what I think is the ultimate point.
I just think it's just super inaccurate to say both the parties are the same. It's just super lazy. It's just, I don't know if you're just falling into they're all the donor class rhetoric and therefore they're all the same.
But I didn't
lazy.
say I don't say that they're the same.
Jank's view on that is lazy.
I don't say that they are the same. I think that there is a difference, but I don't think it's completely different. I think that they're a part of the same spectrum. That's what I feel. I feel they're on the same spectrum, but I think the Democrats are on a more, you could say, central. They're on the more central perspective.
If you want to say the Democrats aren't left enough, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I definitely. And the thing is, I feel the Republicans are like completely somewhere else. I don't even know what to say.
They're in La La Land. They're not even 1980s Republicans.
No,
they're worse. They're like
what I'm
worse
saying.
than Reagan. I trade me Trump for Reagan any day, and I don't have tons of nice things to say about Reagan, but I would take either Bush or Reagan over Trump. Holy cow!
I mean, I think the political party has gone pretty. It's gone pretty wild. Like that's the thing. It's gone to a different level. That's what the point I feel is that the Democrats have taken over the role of where the Republicans are because they've gone to the right, and then the Republicans have gone off the off the map.
The Republicans have gone off the map, but I totally disagree that the Democrats aren't more left than they were than the Republicans were 20 years ago. We should
Mm.
switch subjects. We can argue about it another time. Maybe
Let
we can
me,
just we can discuss it
Isa,
on a Thursday. Isa, come to my stream tomorrow noon. We can argue about
check.
it.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I'm free. I'm
Isa,
free at 12:20.
I wasn't saying that it's my position that the US has one party with two factions. I used to be a firm believer in that, but now that I'm more in touch with American politics, I don't necessarily feel that. I think that they're both kind of very near in the political spectrum from like left to right, but it's not the left like we have here, and it's not yet the right of Franco and the really fascisty
No,
right.
I agree with you. I agree with you. They're not.
CJ Lamrox became a member. Thank you so much, CJ. I hope you're doing well. Emma said regarding the bill that you mentioned, federal law which aims to reduce the federal government budget deficit, lower prescription drug prices, and invest in domestic energy production while promoting clean energy. David said, I agree with Dr. J here. I had the same argument with a gay man online. Like, dude, you of all people should realize they're totally different. And Jeff said, Reagan and Thatcher eliminated Keynesian economics and replaced it with trickle down economics.
Trickle down economics is a total joke. No real economist believes that it's right. I don't know if Republicans still argue for it or not, but all the economic data is like it's bogus. Do you know what trickle down economics is, Max?
Yes, that if the top
We do.
1% does well, it trickles down. But
Yeah,
it's like,
it
dude,
never does.
these people are hoarding billions of dollars. They're like human dragons with
All these politicians do. Yeah.
uncountable amounts of wealth that they're never going to spend. And in the meantime, we have Joe begging for coins in the door of the Walmart.
Yeah. That's why
Right.
one of the best taxes we have here in America is the death tax or whatever you want to call it, where you get taxed an incredible amount when you die. The Republicans are trying to get rid of that, or always making it higher as far as whether you get taxed. Be like lose half of all your money. You can't give it to your kids.
The
Taxes.
inheritance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yep.
Here you get taxed a little bit, but you can
I think it's crazy. All these
maneuver
taxes.
around it.
We have all these taxes, and they're not even impacting us. Like in Philadelphia, we have a bag tax, we have a sugar tax, we have we have a bag fees, and we have a sugar tax. And I'm like, where is it actually going? Like, if you look at the educational systems, they suck. Like Philadelphia is in a terrible place. Libraries are, have a potential of being closed. These people, like, they keep increasing the taxes, but the things seem to be getting worse. Health insurances suck. The health insurance stinks here, where you have huge costs, and you don't, twice the cost of other nations, and we don't get nearly the kind of care that other nations have. It's ridiculous the kind of spending that we do, and we don't even see where our spending is going.
I'm sure you could look up the budget on the Philadelphia. You could probably go line by line, but isn't the things like the bag tax, Isa? The point of that isn't to make money, right? The point of that is to discourage the plastic bags because they're like bad for the environment. I assume.
Mhm.
But the thing is, but it doesn't actually. What you're doing is you're using negative reinforcement instead of positive reinforcement. That doesn't work. It's not efficient. It's not effective.
Raising
And-
taxes on things so people buy them less doesn't work.
No, because the thing is, people will still buy because convenience is easy. So you'll still buy a bag. People are going to pay the 25 cents to get that bag, and they'll probably throw the bag away. Like the so-called reusable bag. The thing is that these type negative reinforcements don't work, and they're lazy. They're lazy. That's lazy.
Mm.
If you want to talk about laziness, that's lazy, man.
So what if
it
they
doesn't
charge
actually do anything? It doesn't
What if
translate.
they charge like $1 for the plastic bag? You're telling me people would just pay the dollar and throw it away?
Here,
Possible.
that got implemented a few years ago, 5 years ago, and the number one thing they implemented was biodegradable bags. But now, when you go to the supermarket, you see that people take their like tote bags, and they take like a bunch of them, and they don't buy bags anymore.
Yeah, when you and I went, you brought a bag, right, Max?
I brought a bag to the supermarket. Yeah, I have a very nice, very thick from before. It's a nylon bag, but it's very thick, very very big.
Yeah.
and I use that all along, and I've been using it for 3 years. I've used the same. But hold on, I'll bring.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Esau, on the whether the cent tax is worth it. I mean, I don't know enough about the Philadelphia situation, but I guess in general, I am excited
I
about
have my
getting rid of
shopping
plastic
bag.
bags.
So, and I feel you. So, I mean, I'm actually. It's funny. I'm studying environmental law and actually environmental health. That's what I'm doing in school right now. I'm doing a public health stuff. So I'm studying environmental law and environmental health. And I think my situation is that I think it's better to do positive reinforcement. So say, hey, you get like a reduction when you come to the supermarket if you have your own bag, and say, I'm going to take 10 cents off whatever it is, and create like, incentive programs for all of these businesses. I think that would be a much smarter plan. Instead of punishing people, you reward them.
I have
What?
one example of that. I read recently, I think it was Denmark, that they started putting more speed radars in the middle of the city. And what they did was that if you get a ticket because you're speeding, the people that go by that detector that are not speeding, they still get their picture taken, and their license plate get every month. It gets put into a sort of lottery with the people that drive well, and if they win that lottery, those people actually take the money from the fines of the people that were speeding. And that cost, in about a week or so, the average speed in the middle of the city going from 35 kilometers per hour to like 28. So positive reinforcement can work. And in my experience with the whole bag thing in Uruguay, it did work here. People kind of really dove into these, using these bags and kind of like tote bags and that kind of a thing. Uh, so I mean, both things can work. It's a little bit of, educating the people and doing it in a smart way.
Creating a reinforcement system. I mean, I don't mind that if you have a reinforcement system that supports society in doing that, but just making laws and rules where you have no real system to and community to kind of help support and foster that, it's not, I don't, I, it's, I think it's just lazy. It's just like I'm making laws and rules, but I'm not actually creating the space to make these laws and rules flourish,
Right. Let me read the. Oh no, I did this one. Hold on. I wanted to read. Oh, here. Zumi said Democrats and Republican are not the same. One side wants me and everyone like me unalive, and the other one supports us fully. No, I understand that, but I think we were talking. There are some places where you can find clear differences, but there's also some glaring similarities. I've never heard anyone like really propose, okay, let's really tax the rich. If you have a
They're not
hundred
going
million
to.
dollars, you should have a bunch of taxes. Because, I mean, that would be useful to get some of those hoarded monies that are just there sitting, generating interest for someone who really doesn't need anymore. That if you take, let's say, you have $100 billion, or something crazy like Elon, a fortune like Elon Musk has, you could just literally take half, and they would come back to having the same amount in a short time, because they just generate interest and interest and interest, and you wouldn't really take away their capability of investment anymore, because it's always, oh no, if you take money from the rich, they don't invest, yada yada.
So,
But
so
we could
something,
solve
yeah.
some problems there.
So something Biden was trying to do, because this is the problem. If you tax your rich people too much, one of the things they can do is just leave and just go to another country that
Yes.
has a lower tax rate. So Biden was trying to work with our allies to come up with a minimum tax rate. So basically, all the wealthy countries that wealthy people would want to move to agreed not to play this game where you keep undercutting each other for lowering their taxes so you can attract the rich people to come to your country. So I think that was a really, really good idea because if we just, I think we could tax them more than we do now. So I'm not saying we couldn't tax them more than we do now, but I do think you have to work with the other wealthy countries to make sure you don't have this race to the bottom on everybody trying to attract the wealthy people to come. And I thought that was super good collaboration he was trying to do on making sure to make sure the floor didn't get too low. I can't remember if it's Ireland or was the one that had this just incredibly low tax rate for people, and so wealthy people were moving there and buying nice homes and spending money. So it was really really good for that country because they attract the wealthy people to come. And if you and wealthy people paying very little taxes is a lot better than having no wealthy people at all. So
Yeah.
you have this race to the bottom issue. And so I do think you need global cooperation to be able to do that. So
Hmm.
I think that was very good on his part trying to do it. Um,
Yeah,
the
and there is
Republicans are obviously completely not on board with this, and they're in la la land on that. But in my opinion, this is another example of the Democrats trying to do actual legit policies, and the
Mhm.
Republicans are, hiring Fox News hosts to run the Defense Department.
The other thing would also have to when you're talking about taxing the rich and that kind of stuff, the tax havens like the Cayman Islands and so on, that needs a little bit more international pressure, because a lot of money, both legal and illegal, is just parked there, and it removes money from the local economy, and it's a giant mess.
Mm-hmm.
um let's so on the other stuff, we had, so the US military attacking a boat with apparently 11 people, which was suspected of being either human trafficking or drug trafficking. But because it was a Venezuelan boat, it got sunk with a missile, I think. And now we really don't know what happened. We don't know if it was just a boat of people, if it was they were trafficking drugs, or if it was human trafficking. The worst case scenario of that is that if it was human trafficking, because the traffickers were taken out along with victims. So that is bad. And also, they're all bad. All the scenarios are bad because there was no due process. It was international waters. They could have intercepted it because it was just a regular speedboat. It wasn't anything else. Proby asks if they even try stopping them. No, no. I won't show the footage, but on the description is a link to CNN that actually shows the declassified footage of the boat being sunk by well, I don't know if sunk, but destroyed by a missile. And that's a big problem. We always, the US trying to act by their own accord as the world police has always been an issue, right? Aragon.
There's been a few positives. We have made global shipping smooth. Everyone is so afraid of us when, like the Houthis, when they stopped the shipping to go through the strait, this and the Sinai Peninsula or whatever. Who was the country that made sure that those ships could do free trade? The U.S. was. Does
No,
that make
I
sense?
agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
With like when there's the need for security, I agree in intervention. Like for example, when we had pirates in the south of Africa and near Nigeria and Somalia and that kind of thing, that was a required intervention. But now, for example, the whole thing with Venezuela, that is a little bit of an overreach,
Well,
and the
it's totally illegal, right? I mean, I think it is anyway.
yeah.
Uh,
But who is going to tell the US you're doing illegal shit?
Probably nobody, unfortunately.
Um, Aragon said this: Max, the Navy does a lot of work before taking down anything. They don't go around just sinking random ships. One of the petty officers told me how this ship followed us up for 2 weeks until they stopped them and secured it. They transporting drugs. They do investigations before wasting resources. I understand that, but why didn't they intercept, capture, and provide them with due process? It's because they label them terrorists for what I think are unwarranted reasons, whether it was human trafficking or drug trafficking. It's not directly terrorism. And now we'll never know what the hell happened, probably. So, yeah, that's complicated. And any thoughts, Isa, on the attack on Doha? Because you came after we kind of mentioned that the attack on Doha and the possible repercussions of Qatar calling for the Middle East to attack Israel collectively. Oh, I don't know if Isa's here.
The Israel bombing on Israel. That's what you're saying. Is it the Israel Doha Israel? Yeah.
Yeah, Israel bombed Doha, and because of that, now Qatar, who was the negotiator for Hamas, now Qatar is calling for basically the whole Arab world to attack them, to attack Israel collectively.
Mm. It's just such a tricky situation because when Hamas invaded Israel, right? When they attacked Israel, they declared war on Israel, right? Then the leaders that probably was of the country or area that declared war on Israel, ran away to Qatar, right, and hid there.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently yes.
I'm trying to figure out what I should think about it because if Japan's leaders would have went and hid in Mexico, I guarantee you the U.S. would have bombed the snot out of Mexico to kill the Japanese leaders in World War II. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the right answer there is. It just seemed weird that you can basically start a war and then go hide in another country and say you can't get me. You know what I mean?
Right. The problem is that there we start kind of how do we respect the sovereignty or not?
Sovereignty would I mean that's a great question. Do you get? Let's just say Putin goes and hangs out in another country. Does that mean Ukraine can't shoot him now? I don't think so. I mean,
right, but do you think that because, let's say, Putin comes to hide in Uruguay and they find him, do you think that the U.S. has just the right to bomb that building just because they get Putin?
I think Ukraine would, because if Ukraine isn't going to arrest the bad guy, right? Why wouldn't Ukraine be allowed to? I mean, I guess Ukraine could decide to go to Uruguay could decide to go to war with Ukraine over it, but I'm not. I could understand why Ukraine would want to do that. You know what I mean?
Right, but for example, rather than I don't know shooting a rocket, couldn't they do an extraction operation or something like that? Something more tactical.
Sounds so easy. I doubt that's true. How many Israeli soldiers would you like to have die, or Ukrainian soldiers that risk dying extracting Putin from Uruguay?
As many as it takes, without if you don't have to, kill innocent people.
Why are the innocent people of Uruguay, who is allowing what the Ukrainians see as a war criminal, hang out in their country?
Yeah, but the people have nothing to do with that. It's the leadership of the country.
And what do the Ukrainian military guys have to do with it? Nothing. They got invaded unprovoked by Russia. So why do they need to risk?
No, I understand that. But then let's say now we get into a scenario that, okay, let's say Putin comes to Uruguay, shelters in Uruguay, Ukraine bombs Uruguay. Now Uruguay declares war on Ukraine because it was like, you fuckers.
I could understand why Uruguay would do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
See why.
But where does it end then?
but I'm saying I'm not saying it, what I guess is like I'm not saying that what Ukraine did was immoral. I could see it might be strategically stupid because they might be starting a war with Uruguay, which might be a bad idea.
Hmm.
But I don't blame them for doing it if that makes sense.
Like, for example, right now we also have a practical example. Trump saying that he's going to bomb all the Mexican cartels. So, like, okay, where's Mexico's sovereignty just out the window?
Yeah, um okay to bomb the Mexican cartels. They're not really attacking us. They're just selling us a product we want. That feels slightly
Yes,
different. That seems slightly different than
right?
Russia invading Ukraine. Yeah, it doesn't
No, that
seem
that, that is
equivalent.
fair. That is
Yeah.
fair. But I was kind of making the point of the sovereignty. But you're right. I mean, the U.S. has a big problem with the cartels. But it's like, dude, you're the biggest consumer of cocaine, for
Mhm.
example, and fentanyl and heroin and all of these things that the cartels do. So, I mean, for me, the solution in that regard would be just okay, just legalize drugs and turn the cartels into pharmaceutical companies that just produce drugs. I think that would be the optimal way to dig that. But so sovereignty for countries, I think if we start kicking around sovereignty, I mean, don't get me
So,
wrong, I love America, I love the US, but I don't want that American flag flying in my country.
yeah, if the U.S. bombed the cartels, I could I would say I can completely understand why Mexico would go to war with us. In the same way I could understand why Uruguay would want to go to war with Ukraine if they did the same thing. Once again, not sure I blame Ukraine. War's bad. You know what I mean? Like war ends up being crap. That's why you want to avoid the war, right?
Yeah.
Nothing good happens. When you start a war, there's just going to be tons of collateral damage like crazy. There's just you can't have a clean war. It's just disaster,
No.
right? There are
And
Qataris that are dying. There's gonna, in that war, the Ukrainians are dying. Poland's getting sucked. Now having to deal at least with the stress if nothing big happens. Like war is bad. Do
yeah.
not want war. Which is why
But
I wish.
now in
Go
the
ahead.
Doha attack, there were 70 innocent people killed, and apparently they didn't fulfill their target. So why should a missile into the center of a city?
If there was a 50-50 chance, was it worth the chance or not?
No, I don't. I mean, I value innocents' lives. So if you don't have
Wait,
90,
I understand war is messed up. I mean, World War II, America, we killed lots of innocent people. The
yeah,
Germans killed lots of innocent people. The British
hmm
killed lots of innocent people. When you go to war, innocent people die. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, you can try to avoid it, but it's not like we were going to not kill Hitler because we were going to kill 100 innocent Germans. Of course we were going to, of course we were going to kill those innocent Germans. Um, that's just how it goes. Um, war is horrible. It's so bad. Um,
um, do you think that we are potentially in the door of World War III?
I don't think so.
Both of you?
What do you think, Issa?
I do. I'm actually quite
I
scared.
think that there's potentialities. If certain things go awry, it could happen. Um, I'm hoping not, but it depends. I think we're in a lot of we have a lot of frayed parts of the cable. Like you have like the extension cord that let's say, like you have like an extension cord that goes outside, and you know um like maybe you're using some appliance outside like a chainsaw or something, and then you have all these little kinks in the wire, and I'm like, have you ever seen Final Destination? Have you seen those movies before, like the horror
Yeah.
movies? Well, in the movies there's like death, like these people survive death, like some person has a premonition, and the person stops a lot of people from dying, and I'm like, if certain things go into place, I think we could go like, in basically what happens is each of those people, like, they get killed off on the screen, and that's the whole plot of the movies. Each of these people get knocked off, and then usually it's this whole chain of events, right, that leads to their death, right? So I think if certain elements happen in the chain to World War III, that could happen. If you have certain switches that go off, they could happen. But um, I'm trying to be the optimist and say that it's not going to happen. But I think if certain mechanisms occur, it will.
Yeah, I am actually concerned there's too much going on, and it's all sort of interconnected. The U.S. Venezuela, the U.S. Brazil, Brazil defending Venezuela, Colombia defending Venezuela, Argentina backing up the U.S., Uruguay, that we're here in the middle of nowhere and we can't do basically jack shit because our army is an embarrassment. I mean, you could literally send one regiment of the US Army and just take over this whole freaking country. It's like we're not capable of defending ourselves. I don't even know why we still have an army. It's a waste of money and resources. Right now, what our army does is patrol the borders, and you could just have a border patrol. We don't need an army like Costa Rica. Costa Rica doesn't have an army. They abolished it, and they're doing just fine. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit. I'm honestly a little bit scared of what happens. And Isa, now that you mentioned Final Destination, uh, I've come across logging trucks, and I never drive behind them. Never.
Oh, now that you say that, I did watch the last one. I forgot. I did. I see. I only saw the last one, the most recent one.
Yeah.
When they
Ah,
had the logging truck at the end. That's the only one I've seen.
oh, there's many. There's so many.
But
Well,
it definitely, yeah, it definitely the chain of links that links all this stuff together. You know.
Yeah.
it was really clever. I really enjoyed it. Well, I obviously could be wrong. I don't know the future, but I hope I'm correct that World War III isn't happening. I
Hope.
think
Yeah,
for
me too. But I'm
War
scared
III
though.
to happen, China has to be involved, right? They have to be a huge player. I mean,
They
I want to
already.
say as nicely as
Yeah, yeah,
possible,
but
South America doesn't matter that much. Like China's not going to war over South America.
yes, they are. They already said that they're backing Venezuela.
When they say backing, they mean they're
Yeah.
going to send an aircraft carrier into the southern hemisphere. I don't think so. No, and we are not going to send an aircraft carrier to the southern hemisphere because of Venezuela. Venezuela. I don't.
Well,
I mean,
no, but you already have. You have
well,
military in the Caribbean right now.
I mean, what I mean is to fight. You know what I mean? We're not going. I don't think we're going to start a war over. I mean, it would be so stupid. I mean, the economic disaster of the whole thing would just be so incredibly dumb. Um, so
Yeah,
I,
but I mean, Trump is not the
well,
smartest
I,
cookie.
I think China is smarter than Trump and realizes the economic disaster it would be to China is not worth it. They want to take Taiwan for free. They got Hong Kong mostly for free. They want to take Taiwan for free, and they're not. I don't. So I don't think they really want to actual go to war with the U.S. Right?
Wait, but don't you think that it would make sense if let's say we are the Chinese right now, that
Uh-huh.
it would make sense to have the theater of war in South America and Europe, and meanwhile you can, because China has sufficient army. I don't know how it compares, but in numbers, their army has to be
Um,
really big,
it
and
is
they can sneakily wobble into Taiwan and take Taiwan while everyone else is distracted with everything else.
the trying to fight in South America as China would be really hard because how would they get the oil to their all their fighting units in South America?
They have oil in Venezuela. They just
So,
installed a plant that I think duplicate Venezuela's
and did
oil
they
pumping
install
capacity.
did they install a refinery as well?
Yeah,
They an oil tanker and refinery is up and going. I mean,
an
surely
oil tanker, no, a floating platform on a
yeah,
lake that
a
does the
drill,
pumping.
yeah, a drill, but a refinery that would take a long time to build.
No,
Yeah,
Venezuela already had a refinery, and they just came to an agreement. They said Venezuela keeps a part of the crude and then sends another part of the crude
I,
to
I think the
China.
I think the U.S. would blow up the refinery, and it would be a really difficult place for China to fight South America. I mean, I think it'd be hard for the U.S. to invade China. It's a long ways away. It'd be really long supply lines. There's a lot of people in China. It would be very hard. They have a lot of manufacturing, but I don't think China is going to want to stretch out halfway across the world and fight the U.S. right next to. all of our stuff. That would be
Yeah,
so
but
stupid.
China, we have to remember, China is allied to Russia and North Korea.
Russia can't defeat Ukraine. So Russia is like Russia's economy is like Italy's economy. They completely don't matter, and the only reason they have a whole bunch of weapons is because they have them left over from like the Cold War or
The
whatever.
Soviet era, yeah.
Yeah, the Soviet era. So they're not particularly powerful. And North Korea is a complete. I mean, North Korea couldn't defeat South Korea in a war.
Right, but I mean, they together. It's
It would
not.
be
It's
It'd
not
be
the same thing.
economic destruction. It would be so dumb for China. It doesn't matter. Even if they wouldn't probably win, but guarantee what would happen would be economic absolute. I could be wrong, but to me, I think the Chinese are smart enough to realize this would just be an absolute cluster, and that they should just. It's probably not a good idea to start a war.
Right. We also have to remember about BRICS, in which you can ignore, I don't know, South Africa, but India has a bunch of people.
People, it doesn't matter. I mean, a lot of people like they soak up bullets well. I mean, it's just that that's not that big of an advantage.
Debatable D says, I hear speculation without information or evidence. Yes, the question was, will there be a third world war? Yeah, we already covered the facts, and also the news is in the description.
Yeah, I could be wrong. I mean, we're obviously speculating on the future, which is
Yes,
like
yeah, we are.
guaranteeing both of us are going to probably look silly because predicting the future is, kind of impossible, but it's kind of fun to talk about it anyway.
Yeah. All right. Let's do final thoughts, and we'll be on our way. Who wants to start?
I can start. Show's going on tomorrow. I just got it on the schedule there. So tomorrow at noon, I've got to read we're going to go over the chapter. If there's anything here you disagree with me about, show up at noon tomorrow and you can try to change my mind. So the goal of tomorrow is continue to talk about why we change our mind, what are the reasons behind it. And so part of the show is people call in and we discuss it. And you're welcome to just discuss changing your mind with me tomorrow, or you're welcome to try to change my mind about something, and we can discuss why I do want to change it or why I don't want to change it, and we can kind of go from there. So tomorrow at noon, that's my final thoughts. Good to see you, Max and Isa. Fun to stream tonight. I know I went on my conference and I've been out of town, but good to see you guys again.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Isa, final thoughts?
Final thoughts are, I think we had an interesting discussion. I love seeing my hermanos here. I feel like it's a great, we have our trio. It's been a long time since we've had that. So I'm very happy about that.
It's been, what, a week or so. When?
Yeah, I know, but it still feels like forever. I think it's cool that we did this thing tonight. There's a lot of news, and I think it's important to cover the news because it has a major impact. Emma was asking, when will I continue? I'm going to do a session on Friday. We did a session earlier today. It's really a hard read. I'm not going to lie. It's one of the hardest. It's not a fun book to read. It's not a fun book to read. You got to get through the author's ego, and it's like, it's a lot, but we got through quite a bit. We're on page 26 out of 534, so we've got a lot of reading material. It's going to take us a long time before we're finished the book. Yeah, but I think my span of reading that book is a half an hour at a time. I'm not going to go longer than that,
Right.
It's just too much. It is not a fun text to read. But I think it's interesting because I think it's an interesting text because it made such a wave. So I think it's important to actually uncover what's going on in it. Let's see. Yeah, I think tonight was cool. I think we covered a lot of really interesting topics. I do feel really bad about the Charlie Kirk situation, but I also agree with Dr. J that I think, like, if we care about Charlie Kirk, we need to care about all the school shootings too. Like, we got to care about the environment. Like, we're in an environmental disaster right now. Like, it's serious business, and we gotta be careful. There's lots of fossil fuel emissions, and There's lots of pollution. I actually just did a report on lead in water. That's what I was just doing right before this meeting because it was due at like 12 o'clock. But I was talking about how the lead in our water really, like, the effect of that, like having lead poisoning, it's terrible. I remember reading about this like Greek fellow who used to like blow on like lead jars or something like that, and it
Mm-hmm.
like messed up his brain. And it's like,
Yeah.
um,
Lead toxicity is quite
yes.
dangerous.
So I'm like, it's so dangerous, and we have to be aware of these things. Like even things like pollutants in water, like chromium in water, like all of this stuff. It's like it's heavy duty, and like um, just we have to be take care of our environment. A movie I actually recommend you all see. It's a silly movie from the '90s. It's very millennial, but it's uh Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest. It's very preachy, but it's a fun ride. And it just kind of reminds us that we got to take care of our environment. So
Mm-hmm. I don't know. This, I think I was talking with CK that I've had the idea of doing the news, at least a weekly show with news. The thing is that it takes a lot of effort to you have to read, and you have to read a bunch of sources, and it's not as easy as some of the other stuff we do, and it's also a huge responsibility, like huge, and it's polarizing and that kind of thing. So but today I started, I took a bit of an extended lunch because I didn't have much stuff to do in the afternoon. So I was looking at the news and I was investigating a little bit of Charlie Kirk before he had even passed away. Sorry, I have hiccups. Before he had even passed away, I was investigating and this and that. And then kind of started also seeing some of the other news, and things start to connect, and this thing connects to this other thing, and I was like, it may be just my reading of the situation that I'm completely wrong, but yeah. So I don't know. It's in here. I created a playlist. We might yet not make it an official like fixed thing, but we have it there on the back burner. Max V said, "No, not on our way." Golden's Raver, 1 more hour. And debatable D. China does have a large military, but I am less concerned by that and more concerned about the existential stuff and that arm race at the moment. AI, virology, economical and political power. That is fair, and we kind of talked more about open conflict. We didn't talk about that, but yeah, there's been a massive breach of, I think it was Salesforce, due to malware made with AI. So it is a true danger. But that actually doesn't scare me as much as the other thing. Max, for $10 Singaporean, said, 1 more hour. Damn you. And then gifted 5 Yerba Mate Talks memberships. Jamie Shapiro, huge R's, Austin Sims, Critical Think, Anna N. all got a membership gifted. In other news, we have Saturday. Yours truly is debating on MDD. Does God exist? I will be partnering with T-Jump. Yes. Not too excited about that. Not a fan of his style. If you ask me my opinion, T-Jump has said during a debate, if you mute me, I'll just leave. And he's actually left when he got muted because he was being absolutely horrible. And I don't like that at all. Like at all. So I don't know what is going to happen. But T-Jump, if he rage quits, I guess I'll just 2v1 these Christians and show them the true power of atheism. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, I'm preparing. I'm building my presentation, and maybe tomorrow, if Isa is up for it in the afternoon, we can do a little debate prep and review my presentation and so on. I have 6 minutes, so it's not going to be long. I need to condense everything, but I'm excited. I haven't been on MDD for a while, and I'm really excited about that. So be sure to be on the lookout. And just so you know, one of you is going to, have to take over the after show. At least the beginning. Then when we get more deep into the, open part of the debate, of the discussion in the after show, I can take over. But I think it's better if someone starts it. Max, for 10. You put me in the spot for $10 Singaporeans again. Said 1 more hour. You're mean. You're mean. But we don't have much else to do right now.
Even if we did, I gotta go.
Yeah,
I gotta go. I gotta go to bed, and I actually have to listen to my chapter for tomorrow, so I do need to get going.
No, oh my God, Max! Another $10 Singaporean, and now he's like he's yelling now, like 1 more hour. Oh my! Take care. Let me think. If there's something else we can.
Bye, guys. I'll see you later. I gotta get
Take
going.
care,
Have a
Dr.
good
J.
night, guys.
Yeah, I'll be up for a little bit. Peace, brother. See ya.
Bye, Dr. J. I don't know, Isa. Do we have 1 more hour in us tonight?
Mhm. We could do something. We can last a little longer, I think.
CK says love y'all tonight. Golden Driver also says 1 more hour.
Wow, people really like our show. I love that. We love the enthusiasm.
Bye, Emma. Have a great night. Well, so my plan.
Why don't we talk about your debate right now?
Yeah.
Why don't we just sit
I
down
was
and do
going.
that?
I was going to that.
Great.
Oh, CK, we love you too, bro. People. I found, who was I? I think it was on Toon last night that we were like, Toon was like, "You're calling CK, bro." Yeah, that is kind of funny. Okay, so my debate, my strategy is number 1, to question the reliability of the gospel. So, for example, there's 2 gospels that mention the birth of Jesus. So after the birth of Jesus, no, he didn't say that, but I don't know if it was Toon or someone else that kind of was like, "Why are you calling her bro? Because you were on camera, CK." So I think that my first argument is the reliability of the Gospels, and giving examples of the 2 Gospels that mention Jesus' birth. After the birth, one says they went to Israel, another says they went to Egypt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a difference. Unless you, which is not in the text, unless you create a parallel narrative that says, oh yeah, because of the locations of where these places are, they went first here and then there, but that is extra textual. And if you're going to invent extra textual, I'll just bring apocryphal text and it will become like a mess, right?
I think that's a valid question. You're like, well, why do you take canon text? Like, you say this is the canon. Why do you accept that? Why can't we take the Nag Hammadi texts? Your texts contradict each other. You have multiple narratives of what Jesus said on the cross. You have multiple narratives of how Judas Iscariot passed away. You have multiple narratives of what happened to Jesus, in the beginning of his life. Which one is it? And if that's the
Mhm.
case, why you get to reconcile this? Why can't we just throw all the other texts in here? Why do we accept your canon? And I think that those are really strong positions, because
Yeah.
the thing is, you show weaknesses in their argument. You're like, oh, okay, if I accept this position, then I should be able to accept everything else. The reason why you accept your position is because people in power, and I think you should talk about the people in power. The people in power dictated what was stated and what was not, you know.
Yeah, they chose what theology, and then hold on, because that is going to be my second argument.
Mm,
Because I have the two examples I want to give for the unreliability of the Gospels are, number one, the what happened after Jesus's birth. And then the other one, which is just a quick example that can be laid out very quickly, is what are Jesus's last words? There are, I think, 5 or 6 claims about Jesus's last words, and they all contradict each other. So after that, I was going to go to, yes, the canon, and showing, for example, how if you look at the Gospel of Peter, they took that one out, because when they go to, after the death of Jesus, when they go to the tomb, out from the tomb comes out a giant Jesus, and behind Jesus, a giant walking, talking cross. Then the infancy gospel of Thomas, that talks about Jesus killing a couple of people and then reviving them. I think that is problematic. And yes, what you were saying, that okay, so what we have as Christian canon was put in place by people with political agendas and as a means of societal control. And even you Christians can't agree which is the actual canon. You have Protestant canon is different to Catholic canon, which is different to Orthodox canon, which is different to the Ethiopian church, which, for example, includes the book of Enoch, right? Um, so I think that's
I
my
think
second.
those are good arguments. I think
Yeah,
they're strong, and I think you're doing stuff that other people don't do, which I think is good.
yeah, and going to the Bible, right? The question is, God exists. So now that I've established that the Bible is an unreliable document, what now I have to tie it back to the debate topic, right? Why would I believe the claims a book makes that are completely unreliable, that are self-contradictory, and why would I choose Christianity specifically when I have so much to choose? Because Hindus have books and miracles and claims, Muslims have books and miracles and claims, Jews have books and miracles and claims, and Shaolin monks have books and miracles and claims. What's this? Buddhism and Jainism and all of these religions, paganism, and the former pre-Columbian religions from the Mesoamericas, and there is so much to choose. How would one make a determination of which one to choose? And I would argue that Christian says, well, Christianity is the only one that is self-consistent and this and that. And it's like, yeah, they all claim the same thing. Number one, they're not, because these are ancient books written by people that knew a lot less than us. And they all have the same problem, that they are self-contradictory, or that they contradict reality. Self-contradictory is the best of cases. They contradict reality in the worst of cases. So I don't know, how would I make that determination between the myth of Apollonius of Tyana, who also came back to life, and I have a little bullet in the chamber. If they talk too much about Jesus, we have to bear in mind, and this is going to be a little bit disgusting. Bear with me, please. I'm sorry if anyone is eating. Kind of stop right now because we're going to talk about disgusting stuff. I don't know if you know. I used to be a very crazy little kid. So there was this website called Rotten.com, which kind of gave me. They showed autopsies and decomposing bodies and all of that. So I actually know what a 2-day corpse looks like, right? A 2-day corpse is starting to smell. The abdomen is bloated because of all of the gas. The top of the body, if you're laying face up, the top of the body will be white because the blood, I'm sorry, will tend to pull towards the bottom of the body, right? And and then you of course have odors, decoloration, hematomas, random puffs of basically methane gas that is being generated in the gut. And that is me being generous and giving you a 2-day corpse. A 3-day corpse, it's much worse. And unfortunately, because we are on YouTube, I cannot show pictures, but I will have links ready with pictures, and I will put at the end of my presentation some pictures of what a 2-day corpse looks like. Because now it's not that we have to rise Jesus from the dead. Now the miracle also has to include regeneration. And then the other thing I have, just in case they bring up, is apparently there was an artist in Brazil that has managed to replicate the Shroud of Turin, which is very interesting. But it only works if they actually, bring up the Shroud of Turin.
I mean, you can bring up rising and dying gods too. Like you have
Yes.
a lot of ammunition that you can bring up, and you can just be like, well, if you believe this is true, then yeah,
Apollonius,
Mithras,
there's
Osiris, you can just bring,
Mithras, Osiris. There's even the mythologization of people, mythification, and that's what's the correct word? Fuck me. How do you call
mytholization.
maybe? One sec. No, I don't want AI mode. Fuck. Yeah, the mythification of, for example, of Caesar. That there were, after Caesar died, there were a bunch of people saying that they were the reborn Caesar. It also happened with the one that I always tell is Niccolo Paganini, that he was mythified while he was still alive. People were saying that he had sold his soul to the devil in order to be the greatest violinist in the world. So there is a lot to mention there. I can probably do some digging into some American myths. I'm pretty sure we have someone who revived here for some reason. Aldebaran says, don't forget Elvis. Oh, no, Elvis was an alien. He went back to his homeland. I learned that in Men in Black, I think. And I only have 6 minutes for my opening, so that should be, for an opening statement, I think that should be enough. It's 2 arguments with different examples for each.
What's the debate?
Does God exist?
And the person you're debating, the team is Christian, so.
The team is Christians. I don't know any of them, but from what I saw from one of the guys, give me just a sec here. Let me pull it up. From what I saw, one of the guys has the hiccups. Has a YouTube channel And I've seen him make videos against pretty much every other Christian that is not him, like the Catholics, the Evangelists, the
Mm.
Baptists, yada yada. So should be very
And so
interesting.
who's his partner?
And the other one is just a mononym, Lamont.
Do you think they're
Yeah,
on the same page? Do you think they're going to be debating on the same page?
I have no idea, but good thing that you brought that up. I am not in the same page with T Jump. T Jump basically what he does is
Yeah, I've
uh,
seen him.
atheist presuppositionalism, and I think that is so cringy. I think it's cringy.
So
It's
what's an argument of an
absolutely
atheist
horrible.
presuppositionalist? Like, what would you?
That the most fundamental part of reality is the quantum fields.
Okay.
So that's
So how does that prove that God's not real?
it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's a shitty argument. It's trash. All presuppositional arguments are trash.
No, I don't really like him.
No.
So what I would recommend you do
Mhm.
is you pigeonhole the person, because they're going to try to do the deist argument. I've seen a lot of these Christians argue deism, and I'm like, you're not courageous enough to even defend a Christian God. They
Oh
have to
yeah.
go. They defend the deist God. So put it up right in your opening and say, look, we're not going to play. We're going to cut to the chase. You believe in you're promoting a God. You're promoting a Christian God. You're not promoting, like the Buddhist God or the Hindu God or any of these other gods. You're promoting your interpretation of the Christian God. So you believe in the Bible. You're not believing in the Quran. You think the Torah is a past tense. You don't follow the Torah or the Talmud. You
Mhm.
don't believe in the Gita. You don't believe in the Tripitaka. You don't believe in ancient Colombian mythology or ancient deities from, Celtic tradition. You believe in the Christian God, and you believe in a specific version of the Christian God. So
Oh
I
yeah.
would set up that trap from the beginning, because you're like,
Mhm.
we're not. I'm not going to let you go from this. You're not going to play the deist card and saying, "Oh, there's a prime mover." No, we don't want to hear that nonsense, because
No.
that's not the prime mover. Is regardless. Okay, maybe there's some ultimate force that exists, like some scientific God, which is like, there's a a prime mover that caused everything. Okay, I don't care. That's not important. I'm here to disprove your God. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think
Yeah.
that's what you have to go in quick, because I've seen these debates where they're just like, allow for the deist God to be promoted,
Yeah.
and they
No,
don't
no.
defend the Christian
I
God.
need Christian. I need Jesus. We need to we need crosses.
Because that's
I'm
what they
not
believe
going
in.
to just yeah.
They don't believe in Thomas Jefferson's God. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't
No.
believe it. And it's so funny when he said the forefathers were Christians. I'm like, they were non-Trinitarian Christians. Like, you do
No.
realize that if they were Christian, they were non-Trinitarian. The first like real full-on Trinitarian Christian, I think, was Andrew Jackson. Like, a lot of the presidents were not Trinitarian Christians until later on. Like, Unitarians are considered heretics now. But like,
Yes.
so like the leaders of America, the United States, was not like that. So, and probably the leaders in in Uruguay, do you think a lot of these people are like hardcore Trinitarian Christians? You probably have mystics, and you probably have a lot of other kinds of folks that actually exist, and people who call
No.
themselves Christians are not that, right?
People here are lukewarm at best. We
Yeah,
fundamentalism is not a problem. You
they're
have people,
culturally.
and you have people that people don't go to church here, so
Yeah,
people don't know anything about. So you have Christian people with crosses, but also playing around with crystals and
New
and
Age. They're
going
New
to
Agers.
yeah, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. Because New Age is a very popular thing now. A lot of people like aura photography, psychics. Like, I've been to those places and they're fun. Like, but the thing is, do you really believe in it? Like, do I believe that the aura photography is real? I'm like, no. I'm kind of like Richard Dawkins when I come in. I'm like, this is a fun experience. I'm having a great time. The psychic can tell me everything, and I'm like, oh, cool. This is fun. But do I like?
Yeah.
Will I follow what the psychic says? Probably not.
Yeah, and the crystals is like, yeah, I have a shiny rock now. Like, I don't
It's
believe it has
cool.
powers. Who cares? No,
It's cool.
I get that. It just doesn't tickle me at all. But this is one of the guys that I will be debating. Please notice the
Oh, I know
mullet.
him.
notice the mullet.
Oh, I know this guy. It's
Really?
Powers. That's what's his name? Powers.
Kelly.
Kelly Powers. I saw him on the Cross of the Crescent. I know him very well.
But if you watch, I mean, he seems to think that he is the only Christian because, like, he's attacking challenge me to a debate, but
Oh, he
not
hates
like
Sam
debate.
Shamoon.
Christian versus Jehovah's Witness, Christian versus Jehovah's Witness, are Catholics, hold on, Sola Scriptura, Catholic versus Protestant, Our Lady of Guadalupe, Fact or Fiction, you know. Everyone that is not him is not a true Christian. That's kind of the gist that I got just from scanning the videos on the channel.
He's super anti-Catholic. Like his whole that's his big thing. Like he really doesn't like Sam Shamoon, you know.
Uh-huh.
I saw him on the show. He's like he's super against Sam Shamoon.
Right. The Sermonator, defending the Christian faith against cults and false religions. Against a false teachers, yada yada. If you want the guys to check this out, I'll put the link there. But yeah, this is one of the guys that I'm debating. Let me see if I can pull up the name of the other one.
It's amazing. I didn't know Kelly Powers was going to debate on modern day debates. I knew him from like years ago. That's wild. He's a blast from the past. Yeah, Berean is a kind of like it's like a very Protestant like movement. I think it was like one of the I don't know if it's like one of the communities, like the ancient Christian communities from a long time ago, but it's heralded up by like the Protestants. It's a very Protestant. It's a Protestant demarcator.
Mm-hmm. And then yeah, the other one, Lamont Map, Lamont Lamont, and last name Mapp. There is a debate here from him, I guess. Reality, Christian theism or atheism? Jason Testerman versus Lamont Map. From 12 years ago. Holy cow. The other kind of like cheeky thing that I like to say is that, okay, you see, we have these two Christians here. The only difference between them and me is one religion. They are exactly as atheistic as I am towards everything else, just that they have a soft spot for the religion that they were indoctrinated in. I never got indoctrinated to the religion, so I was able to just make my own choices.
You escaped from it.
And I'm so hidden that I'm not even baptized.
That's so funny. So you would say like they're victims. These are victims of
Yes.
indoctrination.
Yeah, you're
and you
victims of your
escaped it.
parents. If either of you would have been born in, I don't know, Nepal, you wouldn't be Christians.
You might
if you
be a
would, if
Hindu.
you would have been
No.
born in West Bengal or Calcutta, India, you would not be Christians, and that's just a brute fact. If you would have been born in Uruguay, the chances are 45% you would be Christian, 45% you would be atheist. That's kind of the way that it is. So the difference is not really that much. And I want to see if I can try to shirk them. I want to see if I can trap them to say that the laws of logic are co-eternal with God. It's a hard one, but it's a goodie.
Mm.
That is shirk.
Wild.
Yes. I also have, a few arguments in the chamber, like, for example, that the Trinity makes no freaking sense. Just ask the Jews and the Muslims. You're just a polytheist and that kind of stuff. I mean, if it gets that bad, I guess. I will try not to be the confrontation. I will try to have like a serious, actual debate No, I will try to be calm and collected because we have T-Jump on the other side who's going to do all of the fun things. He's going to do them. So I'll have to pick up the slack.
You're funny.
Yes. Debatable D. Is that 38% regular churchgoers or 38% have gone to church at least once this year? I don't remember. I think it's 45% kind of with majority Catholics. But as I told you, people are lukewarm Christians here. Every year, the Archbishop of Montevideo does a show before the Holy Mass where like or he goes around in the news cycle goes around begging people to come back to the church, like literally begging people to come back to the church. And the Catholic Church has been losing a lot, but the what has been gaining a lot of traction in the more in the lower echelons of society is actually those televangelists that they bought a former cinema and they have security standing outside and yada yada. They call themselves pastors, they call themselves apostles. It's such a fake religion.
Oh, and a lot of it, it's like it's a prosperity gospel, so they do a lot of the fake healings.
They do a
Yeah.
lot of the faith healings. Yes, every once in a while they have the mantle of discharge, which is basically a giant piece of cloth, which they claim they took to Israel and back to have it blessed. And it's like a giant flag in a stadium, and they let it loose, and people touch it, and it's supposed to heal you. I remember one time they were selling little
Holy water.
jars of glass of sand, of healing
It's from
sand.
Jerusalem, right?
Yeah, but it was from like the beach, 4 blocks away from where the church is.
Yeah, they didn't go to Jerusalem.
Yeah, they didn't go to Jerusalem
It's not
or
that
anything.
expensive. I have Jerusalem sand. It's like actually pretty cheap, but they're too cheap to even get that. It's you
Yeah,
know what I think it's not faith healings, it's fake healings. They're
yes.
doing fake
It,
healings.
it's literally just scamming.
Oh, it's
These
a
people
total
are,
scam.
and the fun part is that it aggravates me, and I don't believe in that shit.
Well, you
Right?
believe in people being duped and being I've seen it. I've seen those people on TV and they're like, "Hallelujah, praise the Lord
Yeah,
Jesus. You need to sow a seed today. Buy me a jet. Give me money so I can give thousands of dollars to my 16-year-old mistress. Give it to me now.
yeah,
Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. 3 rocks and a Jericho." Like, I'm not even joking. I was listening to these people. This guy's named Mike Murdoch, and he literally was saying this. And I'm like, who was saying I bought this car for a 16-year-old girl? I'm like, dude, aren't you like 50 something, dude? Like, for real,
yeah.
man?
I
Like,
remember the one that was saying, "No, God wants me to fly in a private jet so I can board." Like, dude, you can just fly commercial.
no,
What
he's
the
like a
heck?
tomb full of demons, a tomb full of demons. That's what he
Yeah.
called normal people in a plane. And the people like,
Holy cow!
yes, we need to buy our pastor suits. And I'm like, are you reading the same text? Like, it's so funny. Like, what's called Christianity and what the text actually says are two
Mm-hmm.
different things. Like, the text talks about being an ascetic, and it says, like, if you have a cloak on your back, give your cloak to the person. Doesn't talk about buying nice suits, with Armani and Gucci and yeah, none of that.
Leave all your possessions behind and follow me.
Bro, that's
Like
what it says.
that.
That's
That
what the
is
text
the
says.
so, yeah. Hoarding riches is the least Jesusy activity that you can get. Debatable D said, you think it could be a thing with the modern movement, especially among Christians, not being in a religion but believers, so that they end up starting their own pulpit self preaching? I mean, that's what Whitsitt is trying to do right now, for example. He's trying to become this kind of cult leader. He's talking about how the Lord is testing him and he's waiting for messages from the Lord, and he's doing. Oh, you probably don't know this, Isa, but have you ever heard of the term bibliomancy?
No.
Okay. So what Whitsitt has been doing lately is saying that the Lord speaks to him because he opens the Bible, closes his eyes, and goes like, "Ha," and then reads, right? And that
Oh,
number one, that has been a heresy for over 300 years, and also it's a type of divination. That's why it's a heresy, right?
wow, it's so
You,
funny. I
you,
I
you
don't
are not supposed to do that.
I must be like a crazy like heretic because like I don't get heresy. Just sounds like people in power trying to control other people. It's like, to be quite frank, it just sounds like a lot of bullcrap to me. People are like, "You're a
Yeah,
heretic." I'm like, no. What you're doing is you're serving powers to be, and you're trying to control the masses. That's why you created this term. It's just like big corporations. It's the same capitalist structure. If you don't pay taxes, if you don't do what I tell you to do, you're a villain. You're a criminal, right? And it's the same thing with religion. It's like, if you don't do this certain tenet of the religion, you're a heretic. You're outside the fold. And I'm like, dude, this is
yeah,
just power dynamics, man. It's power. It's a power control, and it's like any person with reason and logic will know that that's exactly what it is. It's trickery, to kind of control and manipulate people. And people buy into it. They're like, "Yeah, you're a heretic because you don't believe in this story." I'm like,
yeah.
right.
But of course, it doesn't mean anything to me. But
It
that
means
being
something to
said,
them.
it means something to them. Like, for example, this guy Kelly, he calls people heretics all the time in his videos, right? Even in the titles, Christian heretic says something, right? People, yes, Kat, we didn't have him on the intro because it was more of a serious thing, but now he's hanging around. And then Debatable D also said, Flatsoy, as an example, comes to mind. I think the portion of Christians is growing and is concerning as they can convince themselves of whatever interpretation they want. Yes. The only response to that is to just show them how they don't know the text, they don't study the text, they don't understand the text, and also in the case of, for example, the faith healers and some of the other people, how they actively go against the text in when it comes to morality, and when it comes to the specific teachings of Jesus, how these people don't turn, like, for example, Andrew Wilson, that attacks everyone and goes around and yada yada. That is not putting the like turning the other cheek, right?
Well, because it's like it's this exceptionalism. It's like
Yes.
Christian exceptionalism. I'm a part of this club. It makes me special. I was dipped in some water. Oh man, I'm sounding like a super atheist here, but you're dipped in some water, and now you're a special person. You've got the magic. You're the magic person. Like every time I hear that, like you were dipped in water. Now you're special. I'm like, if I did something like that, I'm like, dude, it was just like an activity. It's like doing bungee jumping. Like that's the way I would view it. Like I would not view it like, oh wow, this is some unique thing I did. It wouldn't be like, now I am special. I am chosen.
Mm-hmm.
I have been anointed by the water. No, I just took like a bath. Like that's what it
Right.
is. It's like a forced bath, So it's like it's hard for me to be like you're like a magical person. Like I work in a field of like spiritual stuff, and we work with priests, and the priests have magical hands. So like I can't do stuff that the priests do, right? Like I can't do sacrament of the sick. I mean, I've actually done it a couple times secretly, but um
I like
but
that. These are breaking the rules. Yes.
well, because the thing is, it serves the people. The people want that. You know what I mean? Like, if the priest is not there, they want that oil and they want those things. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like, why wouldn't I do it? If they want me to do it, I'll do it because I'm like that. You know, that's a special right that they get to have. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But like, it means something to them.
I
They
was
don't
going to
really
say
care who does
something
it.
terrible, but
Hmm?
I was going to say something terrible, but I held myself.
Oh, you can say whatever you want.
No,
Whatever bother me.
it was dark. It was very
It was
dark.
dark.
I'll tell you afterwards. Yeah.
Okay, but the thing
Uh,
is, like, it's just so weird. Like people. It's the thing is, a lot of these people aren't religious. Like, who are in my thing, they just want to do that ritual because it makes them feel, you know, it gives them value. Like it's like a rite that they're doing when the person is dying. You know what I mean? It's a ritualistic thing that makes the person feel better. Do you get what I mean? And that's it means something to them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they don't really believe in the stuff. It's just like, oh wow, this is some of my culture. It's my heritage. I want to do this for my family member because, they probably want that. That kind of stuff. But like a lot of people, they get so wrapped up in this kind of situation that you get the special magical hands that makes you a special person, and you're not a special person if you're not in the tradition. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's something that's really hard to believe. Like I've seen this even in the Muslim community. They're like, oh, I'm so special because I said some magical words. I said a shahada. Now I'm a special person. I'm like, really? You think you're a special person because you said a mantra?
Right?
You said a mantra.
Or they think, I remember one time someone tried to trick me into saying the shahada, and I said it, and it's like, dude, it doesn't matter. I can repeat it, but I'm still not a Muslim because I said that you didn't convert anyone, dude. This is just nonsense.
It's a mantra, and I
I
mean,
mean,
like,
and I
yeah.
can say the shahada, and I can also say Jesus is the Son of God. So I immediately committed shirk, and now I'm no longer a Muslim. What up? It's a dude. It doesn't apply to me. We're not in somewhere where if you trick me to say the shahada and then I say Jesus is the Son of God, then you can just take my head. That doesn't work, and I'm having fun. But that person was weird. Like I remember I did a joke about my dead grandma because I hated her. And he was like, "How can you disrespect?" It's like, well, my grandmother was a fucking disgrace. So
Well, it's
yeah,
none of that person's business. Like, why is that person so
yeah.
nosy? Like, they're trying to impose their ethics and values from their system. And I'm like, guess what? We can find the holes of your system, brother. We'll look into the holes of your system. You're not an ethical person. You're not a good person as you think you are. I'll use the Christian magic on them. Like that thing where have you ever lied before? Have you stolen before? Have you lost a yacht? Like you can play that trickery. We're not good people. We all have our flaws and we have our pros and our cons, and
Mm-hmm.
that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when people think they're special, good people, I'm like, you know what I call them?
Uh,
I call them FOS, full of feces,
yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Now, that same guy, I remember that I told him what my mother and I say about my grandfather, like my mother's father, got murdered, and my family has always dealt with a lot of stuff with humor, and like I made a joke about my dead grandfather, and he's like, "You disrespected your ancestors." It's like, dude, I never knew the guy. It's okay.
And was this a Muslim person?
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? In
No.
Islam, the Muslims disrespected their ancestors. They disrespected the indigenous Arab religion. Like that's a
Yeah.
part of the Islamic tradition. Like if you're talking about disrespecting, I'm like, that's the problem. That's why there was the conflict in Islam, was because the Arab tradition was being removed. The relationship of all the deities were being removed. So I'm like, you can't actually take that position because that was a disrespect to the ancestors. You have to be honest. A lot of these people aren't honest.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. And of course, well, I don't know really what's going on, but I think I'm prepared for whatever derp they can bring.
What do you,
I just,
let's play it. Let's play it. How about I play the antagonist? Why don't I do an opening? I'll make up something right now. You want me to do that?
maybe tomorrow we can do
Okay.
that.
Because if
Maybe
we have an hour,
so I
now.
have so yeah, we've been going for a while. It's a little bit late. I'm tired,
No problem.
but I'll prepare something for tomorrow. Maybe a draft of my presentation because of course I'm going to have a presentation, and we can role play a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'll have fun. I love to play like because I like playing villains. I would like I did acting, so I'm like, that's my thing. I'll totally play a good villain.
Yeah, when I debated Dr. J and we were reversed, I couldn't help myself and I told him like, you atheists only don't want God because you want to sin.
Oh yeah,
But
they'll
I,
love
I
that one.
have I have the counter for that. It's very easy and it's like it's an argument contained within a joke, which I think it really fits my style, and it's a funny thing to do. It's like a quip with a, and there's no rebuttal because it's that thing that I've done as much raping, pillaging, murdering as I wanted, which is zero, and I've been an atheist my whole life.
You know what's funny? That like they said you want to sin, and I'm like, well, what does sinning mean? Like, I can say eating meat is a sin. Like, I could, it's arbitrary. What's the sin? I could just
It
make up
is. It
anything.
is.
You know what I mean? Like, if because I hear people say, they say like, well, I don't believe in the Jewish laws. Like, they think that that's overrun. So I'm like, why do you believe in sins at all? Why
Right?
why do you think of mixed fiber clothing? I'm like, it's so inconsistent. I'm like,
Yeah.
do you think wearing a mixed fiber clothing is a sin? And if you don't think it's a sin, then why do you think sexual immorality is a sin? I'm like,
Right.
why is that valued and this other thing's not valued? Why? What about eating shellfish? You believe that sexual things are wrong, but mixed fiber. What about eating pork, eating camel? You think that those are okay? So I'm like, your
Hmm.
whole narrative is inconsistent. Do you believe that it doesn't matter what you do, or do you believe that there are things that matter? You can't have your cake and eat it too, man. And I think that is the problem. They don't have an ethical consistency, you know. So they're
Uh,
like,
Golden says FTFE was so crazy ranting at the other guy that he said he needed God for morals. Yes, I mean, it was a great concession. The problem is that I think FTFE minimized the impact by just like flipping his lead. So let me tell you what happened, Lisa. FTFE asked a very good question to I think it was to the, no, it was on his channel. I was moderating to Sam Derpling. He asked them, okay, where does your morality come from? From God. Okay, if you found out that there is no God, would you continue to be a good person? And the guy was like, yeah.
obviously,
But then he kind of thought, and went like, he had the correct answer the first time. And then he went like, oh, wait, no, I don't know if I would be a good person if there was no God. And FTFE, instead of saying like, yeah, here, you see, if this person really found out that there is no God, then they would be an absolute psychopath. But rather than seizing the great victory that he got, FTFE kind of snapped at him and was like, "You're immoral," and kind of started yelling at him, and it kind of made him lost the point. He really had it there. The guy had given the correct answer and then gave the wrong answer afterwards, corrected himself and gave the wrong answer, and FTFE didn't capitalize because he kind of lost his cool on that one. It
I
was it
mean,
was funny actually.
it's so weird because like that's my question. You're like, there's sin. I'm like, well, what's a sin according to you? What makes something sinful? What makes something evil? What makes
Yeah.
something wrong? And I'm like, you're inconsistent because I can show you things. You say this is ethical. I say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, fine. What about being vegan? Is that ethical? No, I can eat whatever I want. I'm like, okay, your whole thing is crap.
Yeah.
You don't have a consistent narrative, and you don't have the most ethical. What about environment? Do we have to
And then
take care
you
of the
have
environment?
for example, uh, yeah, this idea of, okay, you are either cherry picking the 10 Commandments out of the 10 Mosaic laws, or the one of my personal favorites. Oh no, we're not supposed to keep the Jewish law because Jesus came to fulfill the law. And the counter argument for that is like, okay, let's do a thought experiment. You you go into your car, and you, before you start driving, you fulfill the law of wearing your seat belt. Does that mean that because you feel the law of wearing your seatbelt, now you can take it off because you put it on for a second? No. God says in the Old Testament that the law is meant to be kept forever. And Jesus never says otherwise. Jesus says, I come to fulfill the law. And that means that you're supposed to continue keeping on the law. I don't understand why Christians, I think, I mean, I actually do understand. Historically, they wanted to separate themselves from the Jews, and the only way they really could do that is by making an argument that they're not supposed to keep the law. But God is very clear in the Old Testament that the law is meant to be kept forever. And Jesus doesn't really say otherwise. It's Christian doctrine that says that Christians don't have uh, to adhere to the Jewish law.
You have even deeper than that, bro. It's like, what about sexual immorality? That's a law, isn't it? Like if I
Mhm.
have sex before I'm married, then I'm a
Yeah,
sinner. So you do believe in laws. You just believe in different kinds of laws. What about abortion? You think that's a law too. So you can't tell me you don't believe in laws. You just believe in different laws,
right.
or you believe in some laws. So
Yeah, and
you
the
don't.
abortion we
Yeah,
have the abortion is also out of left field because the
it's not
Bible
there.
is all pro-abortion because if you suspect it's not your baby,
Yes,
the
Sota.
trial of the bitter water. So the Bible
That's
is
correct.
really cool with abortion.
It's correct. And actually, Jewish tradition, I'm like, the rabbinic Jewish tradition doesn't have a problem with it either. They believe that the woman's life matters more than the life of the fetus.
Yeah,
It's a pro-life tradition, but it says we take the life of the woman more. So if the
yeah.
woman feels like her life's in danger and she can make any argument for that, then she can get an abortion. So rabbinic Judaism is more pro-abortion, So
Yeah.
which is
I know.
funny.
I
So
know.
that's the Jewish tradition. So I'm like, who are interpreting these Jewish texts for many, many years? You guys are the new kids on the block. So I'm like, yeah, yeah, it's bizarre, but it's like I don't understand the moral position because they're like, we're moral. I'm like, dude, have you seen the Christian princes of Europe slaughtering and murdering each other? I'm like, the Christian history is mired in blood and killing and slaughter
Mm-hmm.
and horror. And that's your best argument. You're like, oh, the
Yeah.
Christian God is so good. Look at my country. Look at my land. We have been persecuted by these people who've had crosses on their tunics and they slaughtered and murdered my ancestors, my family, and we're suffering. My country, my people are suffering from the impacts of what this horrible so-called religion did to my community. I'm like, you've got a lot, bro. Like that, it's like you think your God is so great and your religion is so great. Why didn't it stop the murdering and killing of all the people of my community? Why
Mm-hmm.
in the stealing and the raping and all of this stuff? Why didn't it stop that? And they don't have an answer. They're just like, oh, you're amoral. And I'm like, oh, who's amoral? Us atheists, we don't go around stealing people's lands and raping them. They're like, well, Stalin did it. I'm like, yeah, well,
It's like, okay, I have, hold on, because I love this. My answer to that would be, it's like, okay, let's do a couple of quick Google searches. How many people died under Stalin and how many people died in the Inquisition, the Crusades, in the Americas? I mean, I'm sorry, but Stalin was it's a very short. Yeah, it's a massacre. It was massacres. Many people died, but when you put it in the scale, they always kind of care at the numbers. I remember Jim Bob once saying, like someone brought up the Salem witch trials, and Jim Bob's answers was like, "Oh yeah, but they only killed like 30 people." Dude, what morality are you talking about? Like, even if you killed one witch, only one, that is too much because you have no right. I'm
no,
pretty
you're
excited.
100% right, but it's even much more than that. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
it's imperialism, colonialism, manifest destiny, going into other countries and forcing religion onto other people. I'm like, you don't have a great track record, dude. You don't have a good track record. And you say, like, I hate the argument. They're like, well, Christianity was solved by abolition. Like the Christians were abolitionists. I'm like, yeah, that's true, but the people enslaving people were Christian. You're doing what I would call, what is it called, the cold call or the hot call, whatever those psychics do, where they have like a billion misses, but all you do is you focus on their hits. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, right? I
Yes,
think it's the cold calling.
Texas sharpshooter fallacy.
Yeah, so it's exactly that. So they shoot all these bullets, and then they're like, "Oh, look, I hit that one bullseye." I'm like, "You missed 100 other shots." So I'm like,
Yeah,
"You've done a lot of murdering, you've done a lot of killing, and you need to own it. Just own what you did and be honest." Like when I heard that Dragon Arts, I was like, "Man, I maybe
oh
I should
my.
be an atheist debater because I'm like, Dude,
I
I would
found,
roast these people, man.
yeah. No, that's what I'm planning. I'm planning to keep my cool and planning to be the nice atheist because I have to counteract that T-Champ is going to be just horrible. But I just found in Oxford Academic a paper about Christianity and torture. Just what I needed.
And I mean, they did these horrible things, and we need to own it. We need to own
Yeah.
the history. And it's like, I hate when Christians like argue and say, look
It's
how
like, oh, we're
horrible.
the best.
And the Muslims are like the worst, and they've done horrible things. I'm like, you're not wrong that they did some terrible things, but I'm like, dude, like the level of horror that you've done, like own it. You know, like
It
just
is hard. It
be
is
honest.
hard to. It is hard to compete. Like for example, there was one that it's like a triangle, and they would seat you at the top and put weights on your legs, so that it would split people in half. So yeah, when it comes to, I mean, that's not very godly.
The bizarre part is that these people are claiming that they believe in Jesus, and I'm like,
Yeah, and
that's the
Jesus
thing that
did none of that.
and it's like weird, like I remember watching this show, like the Tudors were horrible, like these people all claim to be popes and whatever, you know, the Borgias, you know, and i
The
watched this,
Borgias, yeah.
I watched Catherine the Great, and I'm like, what they did to that woman was so horrible. Like it bothers me to this day, where I'm like, you're looking into this woman's private parts to see if she had relations with someone. I'm like, this is sickening, man. And you're saying, and you're wearing this meter on your head, and you're supposed to be a man
Ooh.
of God, because
Uh
she's marrying a royalty. And I'm like, you think Jesus
yeah,
gave a crap about nobility? He would spit on nobility.
yeah.
You think if this guy believed in nobility, he would have done it. And I hate that they try to use render unto Caesar for what is for Caesar. It's very clear that because it was a trap, according to the story of his rivals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus had rivals who they called the Pharisees, right?
The
Because
Pharisees, yeah.
it was a power clash, right? You have the spiritual power of Jesus versus the political power of these other Jewish people, right? Because it's an internal Jewish struggle, right? So these other people wanted power, you know what I mean, according to the story. So they wanted power. They were afraid that he was going to take power, and a lot of these people were not. Believe me, these people were not with the flow of the Jewish community. The Jewish community hated the Romans. They hated the Romans. They thought the Romans were vile, disgusting parasites that wanted to destroy their religion of the one God. Do you get what I mean? That's what the
Mm-hmm.
Jewish
Yeah.
community felt as a whole. But the people in power were sycophants. They were basically like, we're going to kiss Rome's bum because we get power from Rome. So
Right.
obviously that they were like saying stuff where they were like, yeah, man, like we aren't you going to supposed to serve Caesar? I'm like, do you think a Jew wants to serve Caesar? Absolutely not. They don't believe in that. That's not a
Right.
part of Jewish tradition. You saw what the Maccabees did, so
Yeah.
wild,
The
wild.
Maccabees, the Zealots. There's also an argument to be made
Correct.
about religious terrorism all across the board.
That's
I
what
was
I'm saying.
arguing with some dude, and he was like, "No, the Jews never had terrorists." Like, dude,
Of course it
all
is.
religions did terrorism in one way or another. Yeah, but the Jews, it wasn't motivated by religion. Yes, it was. And I got him the citations, and the dude is like, no. I need a primary literary source from the Jews saying that they are terrorists. He's like, dude, that was a fucking flat earther request. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree with what Zumi is saying here. I think it's
Vehemently hate Jews. Yeah, it's a very weird dichotomy there. It's the same thing that happens that we say that Muslims are incorrect when they attack the previous scripture.
that, yeah. I
They
didn't grow
also
up with that.
said,
It's so ridiculous. It's like
yeah,
it's the
wild.
dumbest argument that I've ever heard, where they're like, these books are fake and the Quran came to correct them. And I'm like, okay, if that's true, the Quran needs to be a lot bigger than 114 surahs, because it should be correcting every single aspect of this text. If the Quran is a correction, then it needs to correct Malachi. It needs to correct the Psalms. It needs to correct Proverbs. It needs to correct Revelation. It doesn't do that. So
Right.
the argument is moot and it's stupid. It's such a dumb argument. And every time I
It
hear
is.
it, my brain cells die. And I'm like, you really are like in an insular capsule. Because like I think they just buy into Arabism. They're like, I want to be Arab, and I'm like, you're not, dude. You're not an
Yes.
Arab, man.
Yeah, they want.
They
It's a
want to be
lot. It's
Arab so bad.
a little bit of Arabic
Oh,
supremacy
there's Arab supremacy. They really want to be Arab. And like, can you speak Arab? Arabic?
in
لغة
the
العربية.
in the language. It's the language, the culture, the everything. Yeah, it's a. I've heard people say that Adam spoke Arabic. It's like motherfucker,
We
no,
know when Arabic developed. I'm sorry.
right?
Like,
We
and I
know
talked to
where
my friends, like
from.
my Islamic scholar friends, they're like, yeah, Arabic developed. Like we all know
Like
that.
all languages.
Yeah, but Arabic is a relatively new language too. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
only several thousand years old. It's not like hundreds of thousands of years old. It's not something that's been existing forever. We've seen Syriac. I can show you Proto-Arabic. We can find
Yeah.
Proto-Arabic. So I'm like,
Yeah.
this
You
is
can track
ridiculous.
you can track the origins of languages a lot of times because of the loan words that they use also. And I have a paper on loan words in the Quran,
You're correct. Like
which is very
Pharaoh is one.
interesting. Yeah.
Pharaoh's one.
Zumi said America was not the first nation to abolish slavery. France did that almost 100 years before
And
America.
England did
Correct.
too. And England did too.
Uruguay abolished slavery 40 years before the US, and we're like a very small country down here in the middle of nowhere.
Awesome. I wanted to say something though that I think is really funny is that these people they're like, yes, my thing is so great. Like particularly when I see like Muslim people like my crap smells so good, everything's great, and I'm like I don't care if you have degrees or titles or certificates. It doesn't matter. You can learn things with or without them. But the thing is, like, these people have no training. Like, when I hear a person say, like, I've heard Muslims say this, Arabic has always existed. I'm like, you don't know anything about history.
Anything.
You don't know anything about linguistics. Like, you're so ignorant and so dumb. And you think that and I mean, arrogance and ignorance is a great it's like a terrible cocktail.
Yeah.
And they drink this margarita of crap where they're just drinking it and they're just like, wow, I'm so on point. And I'm like, but you're not, dude. Like, you're like, you make these claims that you have no evidence for. You're like, Arabic has always existed. I'm like, do you know linguistic theory? Have you studied etymology? Have you studied anything about language? They didn't. They don't know anything about language. They're just making a claim because I hate to say this, but these people are tribalists. It's not about being Muslim. They're a tribalist. They're a part of this tribe where they think that they're better and more special because they were born. Unfortunately, it's a disease that people have where they think they're more special and better because they were born in the right family. They don't know anything outside their family. They're in an echo chamber. They've never studied Christianity. They've never studied Judaism. They've never studied Buddhism, Hinduism. They know nothing about other religions, but they think, like, for example, I had a conversation where they're like, I heard someone tell me that Mormonism is a stupid religion. And I'm like, if you look at the standard narrative of Islam, the Mormon tradition is pretty much identical to the standard, like, you're kind of from the standard text, your standard, like, Sunni text, right? It's very, very similar, where these prophets saw an angel in a secluded space. They were given this special revelation. They were told that the other things around them are not true, that they're revivers, that they have to bring the truth to their people. They were polygamous. They had military campaigns. It's very, very, very similar. So I'm like, you can't mock Mormonism and just think that Islam is perfect. I mean, like, it's trajectorily, it's very, very similar. And I'm like, that's why I can't mock Mormonism, because I'm like, if I mock Mormonism, I'm gonna mock.
I have the advantage that I can mock whoever.
I know you can do whatever you
want.
want. Cool. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just saying from my vantage point of trying to be consistent.
No, I understand.
You get my point. I'm like, when I hear people mock Mormonism, I'm like, did you not study like the standard Islamic narrative? Like, have you not looked at that? Because I'm like, there's a lot that's very, very similar. And the Mormon prophet Joseph Smith claimed, um, he basically was claiming that the Prophet of Islam was Mormon too. He was a part of the same kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like he totally extolled the Prophet of Islam. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I just feel personally that people have to they can't throw rocks from glass houses. They can't mock other traditions and not look at their own. The reason why South Park hasn't mocked Islam is because there are crazy people that will attack them. I personally think I'm a free speech activist and
Well, wait.
absolutist. So
Because remember that they did, and the studio they were going to literally show a cartoon of Muhammad because they don't give a fuck.
no,
But it was the studio that
yeah, I
didn't
think you're
let
right.
them, and they actually did the episode, but just put a black rectangle
Yeah.
on top of Muhammad.
But then like they didn't do like what they did with like the Mormon story where
No, correct. They wanted to. They were about to. It was going
know,
to be part of the
but
Super
people
Friends.
are but this is my problem. I'm like I'm a free speech activist and a free speech absolutist. I'm like I want people to say what they feel. Even if we don't like what they're saying, it allows us to have a place of conversations. Like I think people have some really crazy ideas, but let's engage them. Let's hear them out.
So
You know,
you would be a free speech absolutist, but you would have freedom of speech, not freedom of consequence?
I, see, the thing is,
Because I understand.
I don't think
I love free
governments.
speech, but I don't think that.
I don't think governments should regulate it. Like I get it. Like if let's say I'm
But
a
to
part of
which
a
point?
job.
Hold on. Which point? Because if I am actively calling for violence against a minority, for example,
Yeah.
would that be considered under free speech, or is that maybe some speech that we have to restrict a little bit?
So in my opinion, just from where my standpoint is, I think those people can say what they want, and then the people who decide to do those things, they get punished. The rights end when your fists, like when you actually do physical stuff, that's when it happens. But like if people say stuff, those people chose to follow them. You know what I mean? Well, that's what I feel.
Fair
Like
enough. No, that's consistent. That's
I
consistent.
try. I really strive for consistency. That's why I'm like, I get you. Like, I think it's appalling. I don't want people to say that, but I'm like, I don't believe governments should like control and micromanage and because like there's this thing, DJT basically made these policies against anti-Semitism on campus. I'm against
Yeah.
anti-Semitism. I don't want to hear people say nasty things about Jews because like it's connected to me, right? Like I don't want to hear that stuff.
Right.
But I don't think this should be controlled. And mostly it's about the Palestine-Israel situation. That's mostly what it's like censoring this kind of conversation.
Yeah.
I personally think we need to have the conversation. You can't censor people who don't agree. If people think it's genocide, then let's have a conversation about it. But like saying we're going to control people and, we're going to punish people because they say that, I can't go with it, man. Like I think we need, I really don't want to, control people who disagree with my kind of point of view. So,
I think I have a little anecdote. I was on the MD server last week,
yeah,
and a mender came on. I was flat earthing with some derplings I found, and we were there. I was super happy flirting, just slapping them left and right with evidence and every claim. And then Amender comes in like wild, and I had seen Amender had posted a ticket, and then he comes into my room and he's like, Max, can I talk with you? He's like, nah, dude, I'm flirting. No, I can't now. And he's like, no, I need you. Dude, no, I'm flirting. I already saw that you made a ticket. You're speaking with higher ups. I'm flirting here. Let me flirt in peace. And he was like, no, but there's this race realist. Look, Amender, just
what's a
if
race
there's
realist? What does that mean?
a racist, basically, someone that
race realist?
yeah.
Okay, I just never heard that concept before. Yeah, Amender really wants to control people. Like that's totally up his alley.
And I was like, dude, Amender, what's happening? No, but they're making racist race realism arguments and so on. It's like, okay, win the debate. What do like racist people are generally dumb. Just win the debate and that's it. No, but they're using statistics of black crime, and it's like, dude, win the debate. I'm flirting. Just go away. Yeah, I'm not up for censorship. I believe that also, but I'm also not a free speech absolutist. I don't think that you should have the right to call for violence, for example.
I mean, I hear you. I understand that point of view. It's just like for me, I'm like, I kind of go all the way. Like that's where
No,
I'm
that's
at.
fine.
Yeah,
That's fine. Yeah.
that's where I stand at this moment. I'm like, I hear people say some horrendous things like KKK. They say some terrible things, and I'm like, I don't have to be near you, man. I don't need to eat with you. I don't need to be near you. Like I don't, I have a choice to be or not around you. But
Yeah.
they say
But
some pretty
your
horrendous
ideas
things.
should be combated. In that sense, in the in the debate space, in that sense, I think that in the debate space, you should be able to argue whatever position you want. You want to argue that Adolf was the best guy that has ever lived. I'll debate you on that. I have no problem on that. I just don't think that you should be able to call for violence against people specifically. But I don't really have a problem with bad ideas. And Jessica defines race realism. There are equal. There are substantive, innate differences between the races.
I mean, for me, I obviously don't believe that's real because I don't believe race is real. So I'm like,
No, right. There's one race,
yeah.
the human race.
Yeah, we're humans. That's it. But this idea that
there's just like there's roses in different colors, there's humans in different colors.
That's it.
That's it.
That's 100%. I'm like, it's so dumb. They're like, there's these races, and I'm like, if it's so true, then how can any of us, how do we say this? Copulate, is that the right word? Have relations with another being, and we can produce offspring. If we're like, because they're trying to say like there's different species, they're trying to make these racist species.
Oh my god,
like,
yes.
I'm like, it's so stupid, and I'm like, look,
that is disgusting.
You're a sad person who probably has a major inferiority complex. Like I see this like against anti-Jews. Like it's like they're like the Jews are this inferior. I'm like, then why do you believe in a Jewish God? Like, I mean, you're so dumb, man. You believe in a Jewish God. You believe in this Jewish religion because Christianity is a Jewish religion. Let's just call it what it is. It's a Jewish religion. It's not the same as Rabbinic Judaism because Rabbinic Judaism is a different derivation of Judaism. Like went down a different route.
Like everything else, religion evolves.
And it splits off, and it goes into different directions. So the Rabbinic Judaism went in a different direction than, following Jesus, So it's like really funny that they're like, we don't believe in Jewish things. I'm like, your whole thing is Jewish, dude. Your Bible is a Jewish book. Like, do you not know that? Like, do you not comprehend that? You're like, David, Solomon, Aaron. I'm like, all these people are Jews. Like,
Jews, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's so weird and bizarre. It's like, they do this thing where they try to like, how do I say this? They try to do like erasure. Like they try to erase the thing. They want to keep the narrative because it's their tribalistic identity, because they don't even know what their own ancestors believed in. Let's be honest here.
No,
their whole ancestry has been
They
erased.
don't know the ancestors, the book, they a lot of people don't really do much when it comes to. They repeat arguments they heard some other airplane say, and that's it.
You're completely correct, and it's so ridiculous, and it's sad, it's pathetic, and they're like, yes, my thing is so good, and I'm like, yeah, your thing's not too good, man. Your thing is a real smelly, stinky sack of crap, and you're trying to sell it to us. You're trying to sell us your hate and your bigotry, and you think we're gonna buy it? Like, what's good about it? Nothing. Like, it's destruction of lands. Like World War I, World War II. Like they try to say there wasn't religious motivation. Yes, there was. They're both had religious motivations. These people were religious people in war, in battle, and they felt that their ideology was the correct one. It was a part of it, and they try to like act like it wasn't. I'm like, yeah, it was. It totally was. And dropping the nuclear weapon. I'm like, I don't know.
Right?
I wonder if they were secular humanists. I wonder if that would have happened. I wonder if these people were secular humanists, would they drop nuclear weapons, or would they have had a different route? It's an interesting question to consider.
John is there. Hey, John, I haven't seen you in a bit. I hope you're doing awesome. Just waking up to the news about Charlie Kirk. Did you guys cover that? That yes, we did.
That's kind of like what we're talking about. We're talking about him, like, because, whatever you agree with him or not, like, him being killed was wrong. Like, we know that it's wrong. And it's so weird when I hear so-called liberals like, yeah, one less bigot to be here. These are raised. One more bigot gone. And I'm like, you're the bigot, man. Like, did you not get that? You're the bigot. You're the hateful person,
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm sorry, booty call. But it's like 3:20 p.m. No, 3:20 a.m. No. But still. Oh, and we're busy Saturday. Damn it. Why am I so unlucky?
You gotta do self-care, ma'am.
Huh? Yeah, no, maybe. I don't know, maybe Friday. But yeah, with that, people, thank you so much. Isa, we'll see tomorrow. We can do a little bit more about the debate with something more in place already. I'll take some time in the afternoon to start my presentation, and we can role play a little bit. So if you remember how this guy that Kelly, how he argues and what some of his arguments are, then that would surely be fun. If not, we can just do generic role play. Jessica going ham with the emojis, which are awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. And with that, make sure to social things like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your thing, go to the corner, yes, that corner of your street, and just subscribe to Yerba Mate Talks. We'll catch you tomorrow. Take care. I hope, Max, you are happy that we stayed a little bit longer for you, just for you. Everyone, will see you tomorrow. Good night. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry, I got frozen.